Yeah. 3-6, mafia.
Whoa, hey, yeah. Whoa, say what? 3-6, mafia. It's going down. Y'all know what time it is. We ain't playing with you. In the club, in the street. Y'all know what time it is. Get ready for it. Oh, man alive. Wait to be quick. Step up, bring it. Yes, sir.
And hello again, everybody, and welcome into season number 2 and episode 11 of No B.S. as we come your way, folks, on a special Saturday night edition of our program here, of course, taking Friday off to catch Game 5 of the NBA Finals between the Lakers and Miami Heat. Of course, folks, as always, joined tonight on the No BS broadcast by Trevor Williams, Isaiah Leung and Firmin Lee. Yours truly, Callan McClurg, joining you here from the home studio in San Diego. It also, folks, is the first of a MI6 doubleheader coming your way, as you'll see myself and Isaiah back with you folks for the night shift back here at 10 o'clock Pacific time on Saturday. But with that, Trevor, good to see you as always, bud. And how's everything going today? And as usual, good to see you, man. How we doing tonight?
Fall is in the air. Leaves have started to change, and that means football's in the air. And today, college football has been mayhem. Texas A&M upset at Florida, so the top teams are being eliminated from playoff contention. Texas goes down, though I'm upset that my Longhorns ended up losing. It makes the Big 12 even more spicy to see if they can even get into the college football playoffs, or will we see a second SEC team slip in with a 2 loss? So this is going to be a really interesting college football season. I just can't wait what next week has to bring in college football.
A wild day for sure in college football, folks, as we also welcome in our other member of the No BS broadcast team. That, of course, is our friend Isaiah Leung from the backyard studio today in Fremont, California. Isaiah rocking the hoodie as well for the fall season. Good to see you, sir. How we doing today?
Hey, I'm doing good, Callan, Trevor Firmin. Glad to be back on the show, man. I was honestly hoping that today's show would be a celebratory one, since I thought that the Lakers were going to win last night's Game 4 against the Game 5, actually, against the Miami Heat. But unfortunately, Danny Green and Markieff Morris choked that away. And instead of, popping champagne on today's show, it's going to be vodka or whiskey on today's show. So thank you, Danny Green and Markieff Morris, for ruining that game last night. But, I've had a great Saturday. Like Trevor, I watched a lot of college football, watched my Georgia Bulldogs just run rampage over the Tennessee Volunteers. And also I watched my new favorite quarterback, Brock Purdy, dominate for Iowa State as they rode past Texas Tech and probably atop the Big 12 standings for this season.
And also, folks, also back with us here on the No BS broadcast team is our other resident member of the No BS broadcast team, our buddy Firmin Lee, also joining us. Firmin, welcome back, buddy. Of course, we missed you last episode, but good to see you back, man. How we doing today?
Hey, thanks, Callan. I'm really disappointed this week because a lot of my teams lost, especially last night, the Lakers versus the Miami Heat, man. Danny Green and Markieff Morris ruined the entire dates for yesterday and today. And also, I hate to see the Astros come back to the ALDS against the Tampa Bay Rays. They cheated in the previous seasons, and they somehow beat the A's 3-1 in their series. They were in the wild card, and they did not have a season going, especially on offense, but somehow they still made it back deep into the postseason. Pretty disappointing for Bay Area fans like me. And hopefully tomorrow I'll see an exciting game. Hopefully that would be a bounce back to end all these losing streaks. 49ers versus Dolphins. Really looking forward to Jimmy G's return, and also a lot of college football games today to fill the void.
Isaiah showing him live, folks, with the hood on and the look of shame for the Lakers falling in Game 5 to the Miami Heat, folks. We'll get into that and much more throughout the course of the broadcast
as well.
So, here today, and for the Athletics as well. A couple of comments already, guys. Christy Wilson already writing in first, saying, hello, gentlemen. Good to see you as always, Christy. Angel also writing in. Hello, great friends. Good to see you again as well. Angel, again, we saw, of course, folks, if you're with us on Fan Response, you saw Angel make his presence felt on the program on Thursday. Also, Joseph writes in, fellas, happy Yankees Elimination Day. Woo! Definitely agree with that, fellas, as well. Chardal also saying hello, everyone. And also, Angel says, I'm on the third Coke Zero of the day, laughing out loud. And Christy says, second bottle of Pepsi for the day. And also, real quick, already a game break here, fellas. Ole Miss has tied up the score in their game versus Alabama on this Saturday. So, Trevor, a lot of college football, but of course, man, we'll start though with the big story of the sports world, which of course was Game 5 of the NBA Finals held on Friday at the Orlando Bubble, and the Miami Heat are able to stave off elimination for at least one more day as they hold off the Lakers. Emphatic comeback, 111-108 last night after, of course, two very mind-boggling final possessions by the Lakers in this ball game, sadly, that sees the club go down. But, Trevor, I more so look at this game, though, as like a carbon copy, pretty much, Trev, of the first game the Lakers had lost in regards to sloppy play, turnovers, not making their baskets, lapses on defense, and just letting too many guys on the Miami Heat get going early in the ball game. Now, I know, of course, that as well, that we have already seen, the banter towards Danny Green, Markieff Morris for the blunders. But Trevor, at the same time, though, yes, in my mind, those two are big plays. But at the same time, though, you can't, like I have said, though, on here a couple times, mainly about football, you can't afford to fall behind the 8 ball and get down by 10, 12, 14 points and expect to come back every single game and win it. Now, yes, I know, of course, there's a lot of frustration, pent-up frustration, boiling frustration with Danny Green and Markieff Morris. But at the same time, though, Trevor, I look at it, though, more so as the slow starts of the Lakers coming back and botting them so far in this series. Yeah, they probably could have they could afford to do this against like Denver and Houston and Portland, but not against Miami. There's certain teams you can't afford to get off to rocky starts. And Trevor, I think that's what doomed the Lakers more so in my mind than the mystery by Danny Green, or also the final possession there of the Markieff Morris ball being thrown out of bounds. But Trevor, give us your thoughts here about Game 5 between the Lakers and Heat. What do you got for us?
Like I said, I think it's more on the lines that this game was a thrilling game to watch at the tail end, going back and forth, taking shot after shot. But look at Jimmy Butler. He played about 47 to 48 minutes of this ball game. By the time he was finished, he was dead tired. But like, as a heart of a champion, you have to be able to do that in NBA Finals and step up and rise above the rest. Even with his supporting cast on the Miami Heat with Tyler Hero and company, they just stepped up and were able to compete with the Lakers. And it's just going to be very interesting on how Game 6 is going to unfold. Will Jimmy Butler be able to have another all-star performance and just make his legacy grow even more? Or will LeBron James be able to finish it and get that 4th ring finally? But at the same time, if LeBron ends up going to Game 7 with this, it starts to put into question his legacy, comparing it to LeBron James. If he loses, not LeBron James, Michael Jordan, if he loses this final series, I think a lot of people are going to put the case to bed where you can't compare LeBron James to Michael Jordan anymore if he loses this final series.
Isaiah, I think Trevor makes some very great points here about the whole debate again about, Jordan, Kobe, LeBron, Magic Johnson, or, the all-time greatest NBA player of all time. But, Isaiah, I know, of course, that people want to pour on Danny Green and Markieff Morris. But as I have said, though, man, in team sports, you can't afford to fall behind by what feels like a gazillion points. The Lakers, once again, falling flat on their face in the first quarter. I think they probably, though, were maybe a little bit, like I had talked about maybe a couple times, though, as well, Isaiah, a little bit too maybe overhyped, or a little bit too maybe overstressed, or maybe a little bit too much was put on this game. Obviously, of course, you want to close things out, yes. But that the Lakers, I think, played a little too tense for me, a little too tense. Rushing shots, missing shots, turnovers, bad play, and mainly more so the start more so where, again, they got behind the 8 ball, I think is what more so. I think the start, though, for me, Isaiah, outweighs the final possessions by Morris and by Green in my mind. But, Isaiah, what say you about the Lakers losing Game 5? Still, though, with another chance to close out the series, though, on Sunday.
Yeah, I think I gotta agree with you and Trevor. I think the Lakers were doomed by their bad start early in this game. When you get off to a bad start, it takes a lot of energy out of you to dig yourself out of that hole that you got yourself into, and come back and have to come back and tie this game. And that's what the Lakers did. They spent too much energy just climbing out of that hole that they created. They were very sloppy early on in this game. They turned the ball over so many times. The one key stat that I look at when I look at the box score is the Lakers turned the ball over 20 times while the Miami Heat turned the ball over 14 times. That was the killer of the game. You can't turn the ball over that many times and expect to win a basketball game. I don't care how good you are. You just can't do that if you want to win an NBA Finals game. And I got to give credit to Jimmy Butler, who is proving to be a top 5 player on the planet right now with his performance in these finals. The guy just refused to let his team go down. You saw it from the jump. This guy willed his team on his back, and he willed his team to victory, and that was what was really impressive about Jimmy Butler's performance last night. And I want to talk about the Danny Green blunder and the Markieff Morris blunder. I know everybody's killing Danny Green and Markieff Morris for their blunders all over social media right now, but I think everybody's got to stop killing Danny Green for that missed shot. Yes, I know he was wide open. I know he missed the shot, but hey, I don't have a problem with the shot. He took the damn shot. That's all I care about. If he was wide open and he didn't shoot it and he passed it to someone else, I would be pissed. But Danny Green shot it and he missed. I'm willing to live with the result of that shot simply because this is a make or miss league, like they always say when they come back from commercial breaks on the jump. And at least, he put in the effort and took the shot. I think there's two guys, if you really want to blame someone, there's two guys that you can blame, and that is Kyle Kuzma and Markieff Morris. First of all, Kyle Kuzma, you were supposed to be the third guy on this team behind LeBron James and Anthony Davis. You were supposed to help carry the load offensively behind these two, and you talked so much coming into the bubble about how you had changed, about how you were absolutely killing it in practice, and how this is postseason time, and you would show up during this time because this is when it counts. Well, so far in these finals, you've been MIA. Besides your 19-point performance in Game 3, you've only put up 3 points in Game 1, 11 points in Game 2, 9 points in Game 4, 7 points in Game 5. That's not going to cut it, man. Kyle Kuzma is a prolific scorer off the bench. He's kind of like our Lou Williams. He's got to do way better than that if the Lakers and he's also got to start carrying some of the load offensively if this team wants to close it out and clinch that number 17 championship, especially now that Anthony Davis is not going to be at 100% due to his heel injury. So Kuz has got to be better in the next game. And, Markieff Morris, like I was telling Callan and Martin yesterday, shout out to you, Martin, and congratulations to your Miami Heat on that big win yesterday. But like I was telling Callan and Martin, the reason why Markieff Morris, what are you doing with 3 seconds left? I know you're trying to throw the ball to AD, but the wiser play would have been to either kick it out to, I believe it was Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, who was wide open to the left of you, or in the back corner, you had LeBron James wide open. You could have made those passes, and I would have been willing to live with the results. But instead, you decided to throw an ill-advised pass to Anthony Davis, who was covered by Jay Crowder at that time, who was playing really good defense on Anthony Davis, and the ball goes out of bounds, and that's all she wrote. So I think, honestly, for the Lakers, they got to stop turning the ball over. Kuzma has got to show up in Game 6, and the Lakers, they just got to play with that intensity that you need to win an NBA Finals game.
Firmin, what pretty much do you think sticks out in your mind with this game? I know, of course, that I think it's probably pretty much case closed on killing Danny Green, Markieff Morris for blunders. But I look more at it though about the Lakers just falling behind the 8 ball. The sloppy passes, the turnovers, the unnecessary flashy play. kind of being what really, I think, killed this ball club again, much like it did when they were up 2-0 and they lost game 3. But I think it's a combination of a lot of things that have in fact gone on over maybe the past couple games. But also, I would also say, though, as well, Firmin, that even though that Miami won this game, though, there is absolutely, I don't think, any way, though, that a ball club can keep this type of hot shooting going over the course of, of another game, or even, for that matter, 2 more games, where Miami, it seemed like they just couldn't miss. And the Lakers seemed like they missed every shot, though. But as we have probably, though, Firmin, seen maybe in instances of basketball, one team can have like a blazing hot start, though, after the first half, but then come out and go ice cold. I kind of feel like, though, that Miami, if they were to keep that pace going for 2 straight games, that'd be incredible. But I just don't think that in basketball, you'd be able to keep that type of hot shooting from beyond the arc or from anywhere on the field going for a full 48 minutes again. And again, having to exert all that injury. And by the way, guys, a quick stat to know, I believe that Jimmy Butler only sat out 48 seconds of that ball game last night, too. So that's a very telling step. But Firmin, what do you think probably led to the Lakers losing their 3-1 lead last night? And now, though, up 3-2. But what do you think was the main reason or reasons for them losing on Friday night versus Miami?
Yeah, obviously turnovers and also a slow start. But I would leave it to this right here. If you are a LeBron hater or you don't think LeBron has a huge impact for this team, you guys are dead wrong. LeBron yesterday had 40 points, and he shot the ball like he was Curry or Clay from 3. So he made a lot of good passes as well and helped his team and set them up to score. In fact, in the fourth quarter, I felt like this whole entire game was just based solely on Jimmy Butler versus LeBron James. It was so back and forth that it became a great competitive game. And if you're thinking that the NBA ratings are down, you have to watch that fourth quarter, because it was truly a blessing for all the fans that were watching out there. Just a crazy back and forth rally, and it was amazing. Even as a Lakers fan, I have to accept that. But yes, the early slow starts for the Lakers did ruin their momentum at first, and yes, they could have had a better lead, but I would cancel that out because it was just a great game from both teams for Game 5. I know Jimmy Butler has been playing great recently because he's been averaging almost a triple-double every single game in the finals so far.
Crazy.
Especially yesterday, yeah. But I do have to give one major shout-out to my favorite player of the Miami Heat, Duncan Robinson. This guy yesterday made all the G Leaguers look really, really proud yesterday. He also made Jim Harbaugh very proud too, because he's an alumni from Michigan. So, I mean, he was just making contested shots like Klay Thompson from the Warriors. Everything was going in from 3. Even though Jimmy Butler had a big game, he had a huge impact too. And if Duncan Robinson can keep playing like this, I can guarantee that he, Tyler Hero, and Jimmy Butler can form a big 3 by next season. Well, now I have to really dive deep into the points, especially in the last possession. Isaiah told everybody in his take that he doesn't want to have everybody bash on Danny Green for that huge blunder at the very end for missing a 3. But I really have to disagree with that, because if you're Danny Green, you should not even be on the floor. You've missed your last 2 threes in the final 5 minutes of that fourth quarter, including airballing your last 3 before that final possession. If I were LeBron James in that last possession, you had 5 players, all the Heat players were focusing on you, and you had two guys on the wing that were wide open. I'm pretty sure LeBron saw Danny Green and KCP at the same time. LeBron, why didn't you pass it to KCP? Now I think there's a good reason to that. It's because Danny Green asked for the ball at the very end. And that was the reason why I have lost a lot of respect for Danny Green. If you're that confident and into asking LeBron to pass you the ball to shoot that game winner in the NBA Finals, you're going to have to at least hit something decent on the rim. You barely grazed the front of the rim, and that pretty much cost the entire game. So, once again, I don't understand why Danny Green was on the floor in that last possession. If I were the Lakers or Frank Vogel, I'd rather have someone like Rondo shooting that 3 instead of Danny Green. It's gotten to that point where I have more trust in Rondo shooting a 3 than Danny Green. And obviously, Markieff Morris, We all know what happened. I'm not even going to talk about it. So I'm just going to put it here. He's just not built to live up to that pressure like that. Obviously, that was that one play that decided the NBA Finals winner of 2020. And Markieff is just not that player. So enough said. I know he had LeBron open, Danny Green open, KCP, but Danny Green just had a terrible shot. I'm pretty sure Markieff was thinking that, like, okay, if I pass it to Danny Green, it's probably not going to go in anyways. I would have been more comfortable, like Isaiah said, if he had passed it to LeBron. LeBron was on fire from 3 yesterday, and if he's wide open, I'm pretty sure he was most likely going to nail that in. But you decide to pass it to AD, and it cost us the game. So a lot of things to fix for the Lakers, and really hoping that stuff like this, mental lapses, do not happen again in Game 6 and 7.
And I don't think so. I don't want to make this seem like that oh my goodness, the Lakers lose a game and the world's coming to an end, even though 2020 kind of feels like that way though, fellas. But, I understand the frustration, but again, the Lakers are in a good spot though, still 3-2. But however though, Trevor, as we now move on to the next NBA segment here though, bud, even though the Lakers still have one more shot, or at least still have, they have to win one game to clinch, while the Heat have to win, one more to force Game 7, and then have to win 2 to clinch the championship, though. However, though, Trevor, we have seen this plenty of times, though, man, in the NBA recently, maybe even as well in other sports, though. The dreaded 3-1 lead has become, in a way, kind of brought its ugly head back to the forefront. Trevor, simple question. Are the Lakers, in your mind now, feeling the pressure of that 3-1 lead curse, perhaps, now in your mind? What do you think and why?
I don't think they're feeling the curse, but obviously it's back in everyone's minds, like saying, are we going to blow a 3-1 lead? In previous history, LeBron James has never blown a 3-1 lead in his career. So I think he's going to be able to continue that streak and be able to set the precedent in dominance. And also, this Laker team is stacked. So I don't think they're going to end up falling apart in Game 6 and letting this go to Game 7. I think they're going to finish in Game 6 and make sure it's a defining victory and win this championship for Kobe Bryant.
Isaiah, I would agree. I think LeBron and AD knows what's at stake here, and majority of these Lakers are veterans, and some of these guys have been around. They've won some titles maybe elsewhere and not in LA yet. But Isaiah, though, I think, though, it's a very fair argument, though, that this is talked about, though. But Isaiah, do you believe, though, that the Lakers probably are feeling some type of pressure, though, as in fact they wait Game 6 on Sunday against Miami?
I think they are. I think they underestimated Miami coming into this series, and also when they took that 3-1 lead, because I just think they bought into all the hype that the media was throwing it out there. The media kept saying, oh my God, the Lakers, this series is over. The Lakers are going to easily sweep Miami. And then when Miami was down 3-1, they're like, oh yeah, this is over. Game 5's a wrap. Lakers are going to win it by 30. And then the Lakers just bought into that, and they just didn't show up, or they did show up. They showed up physically, expecting to be handed a win. But, we all know that you can't just show up to an arena and expect to be given a W in the NBA Finals. Miami punched them in the mouth, and they came out like their season was about to end, and they showed up. They played really well, and the Lakers just didn't match Miami's intensity, and that's what cost them in Game 5. So I think the Lakers, they've learned their lesson. I think they're going to come out in Game 6. I think they're going to throw the first punch in this Game 6, and then I think they're going to roll through Miami in Game 6.
Firmin, how about you? Do you think the Lakers feel at least, maybe some very small pressure? Again, I know, of course, LeBron has not blown a 3-1 lead in his career, though, but, do the thoughts perhaps creep into your mind as you, in fact, think about Game 6 on Sunday, that the Lakers might be feeling some type of pressure in your mind? What do you think?
Yes, I know LeBron never lost the finals being down 3-1 or any series, but you're going to have a lot of pressure on yourselves if you're the Lakers, especially after Game 5. I would not place a lot of pressure on LeBron James, but more on the role players and AD. Because if Jimmy Butler, Tyler Hero, and Duncan Robinson, if these three are going to have big games once again, it is going to be really difficult to come back. Because Miami, they desperately need to win the remaining 2 games because they're down in the series. They're not going to go into the courts and relax and take it easy. They're going to go 110%, and they're going to do everything they can to try to get these games back. So the Lakers really need to step it up, especially in practice. You got to wake up at 5 a.m. like Jimmy Butler. You have to be ready for these moments. So LeBron, I have a lot of respect for him because of Game 5. He really, balled out, and I believe he single-handedly almost got the Lakers back into the game until the blunder. But AD obviously has like a huge issue right now. So throughout the season, I don't really consider the Lakers as having like the best offense in the NBA so far. I think they relied mostly on AD and LeBron to really run the offense effectively, and also their defensive rotations. So if they don't have AD or LeBron, I think they probably have like the worst front court and back court in the NBA right now. If you put these guys alone with LeBron, it's going to be like the 2017 Cavs again. It's not going to work out. So if AD is going to be out for Game 6 or 7, or if LeBron's going to have a terrible shooting performance in Game 6 or 7, I think the Heat are going to have most of the momentum going into Game 6 and Game 7. So AD has to step it up, and hopefully he's going to be healthy, and hopefully he won't be disciplined for that play he made on Jay Crowder, so that the Lakers might have a chance to come back. I would give like a mini shout out before this to KCP, because in the recent 3 games he's been really helping out LeBron a lot as a role player, making the consistent shots and also being aggressive, making layups finally. So this is the type of mentality the Lakers need if you're a role player, to help LeBron win his 4th ring in the NBA Finals.
Now, Firmin, I was just going to say, I can't confirm, Firmin, and for everyone else out there, but Anthony Davis will not face discipline or a suspension for that play that was, again, ruled as a potential flagrant or what was reviewed. But per the NBA and per the Lakers, there is no discipline going to be issued to Anthony Davis for that. For the play, though, that Firmin was referring to. Some comments, guys, real quick. First from Angel, he says, still think the Lakers will win tomorrow night, but the Heat might have woken up, though, especially if Jimmy Butler is going to be playing is going to be on the bench for 48 seconds. That's going to be very, very insane to see how, in fact, those things will go. Also, Christy Wilson says that Jimmy Butler is showing the world what a beast he really is. As mentioned, again, 48 seconds of not playing is pretty insane. Also, Angel says it would have been special on Kobe jersey. That green stunk it up at the final buzzer. And also the Lakers probably thought they were playing with 2002 New Jersey Nets in the series as well. And also we'll go back to Isaiah as he wants to add on one quick point. Isaiah, what do you got for us, bud? Isaiah, you're muted. Thank you.
Oh, can you guys hear me?
Yes, you're good.
Yep.
Perfect. So I think the guy that has to step up tomorrow has got to be Kyle Kuzma. You got to step up, because when Kuzma plays well, the Lakers with LeBron and AD, they're basically unstoppable. So it's all going to come down to, I think, Kuzma's performance off the bench for the Lakers. And the second thing I got to add is, Callan, you scared me for a second, though, because you were like saying how I can confirm, Anthony Davis will not. And when I heard that, I was like, oh, crap. Like I was thinking that you were going to say he's not going to play because of the heel injury. So thank goodness it wasn't that.
No, and also AD confirmed last night to the press that he will play in Game 6, and also he will not face any suspensions for that, again, foul that Firmin did, in fact, touch base upon just a bit ago here on the show. But again, folks, Lakers Heat Game 6, Lakers on top 3-2, will come your way on Sunday, 4:30 Pacific time, on ABC, ESPN, and the ESPN family of networks. With that, Trevor, a very interesting storyline we've been following, though, but that, of course, is former longtime NBA head coach, now current ESPN colored analyst, but the great Jeff Van Gundy is once again, fellas, voicing his, kind of in a way tooting his horn to get back onto the NBA sidelines. But, of course, Trevor, the only thing, though, about Van Gundy coming back, though, is which team or teams would be the best hire for Van Gundy. But Trevor, give us your thoughts, though, first of all, about Jeff Van Gundy at his age and being away from the game for so long. What do you make about his recent either interviews or recent comments about him getting back onto the NBA sidelines? What do you got for us?
I don't think it's like a coach can always join back into the league at any point in his career. Like, look at Popovich, for example. Like, though he's been coaching like forever, like he's up there in age. Though it's like any coach can really get back into the swing of it, watch a couple film to see how games are unfolding, and slowly ended up, getting back to the system, getting back to being acclimated. Though it may take a couple seasons to adjust to all the different play style that the NBA is going through. But I think he'll definitely be able to adjust and be able to coach a good team if there's enough good players around him to do so.
Isaiah, we'll look at all but teams. We will look at all but teams in a moment here before we, in fact, move on to our next segment in regards to maybe potential spots for Van Gundy and teams that need head coaches. But Isaiah, give us your thoughts here about Jeff Van Gundy. I think Trevor's on a great point, though. Yeah, Jeff's been out of the NBA for a while, but it probably shouldn't take too long to kind of get back into being reacclimated with the league and the players and how guys play the game. But Isaiah, give us your thoughts, though, about Jeff Van Gundy perhaps returning to the NBA sidelines as a head coach. What do you got?
I really hope he does. I've been pushing for Jeff Van Gundy to come back to the NBA as a coach, because when Jeff Van Gundy is a head coach in the NBA is better. Jeff Van Gundy is a great NBA head coach. He's sat out the last, 8 years. 8 years in the broadcast booth. He's kind of like John Gruden on the football side. So he's, even though he's been out of coaching for a long time, he has seen, the NBA change, and he has seen how to have success in the modern NBA. So I think he would do a great job if he does, in fact, return to coaching in the NBA.
By the way, fellas, quick clarification for Isaiah. Last time Van Gundy coached was 2006. Was the last time he was a part of an NBA organization. So 14 years or roughly 14 years since Van Gundy has last been on the sidelines for an NBA franchise. And Firmin, how about you? What are your thoughts about Jeff Van Gundy perhaps coming back into the fold and rejoining an NBA franchise somewhere on the sidelines sometime, maybe next season? What do you got for us?
Well, Jeff Van Gundy is a really respectable guy. But he's been out for a long time, hasn't coached the team for quite a while. But he does have a broadcasting career, and he's been commentating in all of these NBA games, and he's been seeing the transition of how basketball is being played over the years. It's gotten more fast-paced. There's a lot of personnel changes through the rotations on offense and defense. So I think he's seen enough of that on live games, especially in the playoffs. So if he's going to come back, I think it'll take him some time to really, if he's going to find a team, there's going to have to be some strong players that he's able to develop, such as all-star or superstar players. And over time, I think if he's able to figure out how his roster is going to work out when he plays them, I think he's going to do great.
With that, fellas, some thoughts real quick about Jeff Van Gundy. Real quick, Angel says, I could see the Clippers perhaps grabbing him. It would be awkward if Jeff Van Gundy coached the Lakers, especially because he hates the Jack-in-the-Box taco promotion. Come on. I love chanting we want tacos when the Lakers come to San Diego for a preseason game. And also my man Casey King saying, hey, guys. Of course, Casey joining us on the night shift every Tuesday, Saturday, and Sunday. With that, gents, we'll stay in our quad view here for this part here. Now, guys, we'll go through some of the NBA franchises who need a head coach right now, and we'll all just do a simple yes or no. We'll go around the horn pretty much here. Trevor, starting with you. Jeff Van Gundy to Houston, yes or no?
I'm going to go with a yes. I feel like that name will just literally attract one more talent that Houston needs to get a big three and actually get an NBA championship done, or at least get to the finals and have a really interesting final appearance.
All right, Trevor says yes. Isaiah, how about you with Jeff Van Gundy going to the Rockets?
Even though he coached with the Rockets in the past, and he does have a home in Houston, I'm going to have to say no, because I don't think that if you do bring in Van Gundy, you're going to have to change up all the, the fast-paced, small ball offense that you've been running the last 4 years. You're going to basically have to make a philosophical difference in the organization if you do bring in Van Gundy, because Van Gundy is a guy that likes to run, your slow it down, half-court set type of offense with a big man. Look what he did with Tracy McGrady and Yao Ming when he was coaching with the Houston Rockets. I don't know if he will like running that small ball offense that the Rockets currently run.
And also, Casey has a great point, though, fellas. Van Gundy was already there, but I don't see him going back to Houston. So maybe I think he probably burnt that bridge. Firmin, how about you, though? Van Gundy to Houston, what do you think?
I would say yes, because it kind of reminds me of like John Gruden to the Raiders. I think Jeff Van Gundy has a lot of great players to work around in Houston right now because they have a lot of good players. But I do agree with Isaiah. I don't think Van Gundy should continue the small ball offense. He should go out there and instead of trading a really strong player like Clint Capella, he should go after and seek these strong forwards or centers that could kind of build up the offense and work around the slower paced and getting more players involved instead of having all these ISO possessions. I think that's what fits Van Gundy's play style, especially since he's been gone since 2006. And over the years, I think if he develops into that type of play style, you have a lot of great players around you. I think you'll do a lot better than what Houston did before with McGrady and Yao Ming.
Angel, real quick, says, I would have said the Knicks, but too bad they already got their man in Tom Thibodeau to become their next head coach. Next team up, Trevor, Jeff Van Gundy to Indiana.
I'm going to have to say no because Victor Oladipo may leave Indiana, and it's just like there's really nothing left in that franchise too much where it can attract talent. And just the East right now is slowly starting to build up. So I don't know what talent could you bring to Indiana to try to compete when there's already like 4 teams already locked up in the top 4 spots in the East.
Fair analysis, fair point, though, for sure, especially with Oladipo and his ongoing saga and soap opera right now. Isaiah, how about you with Jeff Van Gundy going to the Pacers?
I would say no as well. And, it's basically all the reasons that Trevor listed. Victor Oladipo, he has 1 year left on his contract. He's probably going to be traded this offseason. The Pacers, they're a team that I think are headed for another rebuild. And I don't think Van Gundy at his age wants to go through another rebuild.
All right, so 2 votes for no for Indiana. Firmin, how about a clean sweep? What do you got?
I would say yes, because just like John Gruden, they're rebuilding the He's rebuilding the Raiders. I think Van Gundy can fit into this role he has to actually fit into this role if he wants to be a head coach. If I look at the Pacers right now, I don't think they need Victor Oladipo in their offense. They got Domantas Sabonis, and that completely fits the perspective of how Van Gundy developed his players in the past in Houston. He's a great shooter, but also he doesn't take and force bad shots. So you can definitely develop that player, and TJ Warren. And in the backcourt, I think they do have a lot of prospects hiding underneath the roster. Some of them might be in the G League. You could turn into the Miami Heat if you know how to develop your players the right way. Like I'm seeing TJ Leaf, TJ McConnell, a lot of these other players kind of having their own role in the bottom of the roster. But if you bring these guys up and develop them over time, I think they do have the potential to becoming to at least get to the top 5 into the Eastern Conference.
So Furman's going to go with yes to the Pacers. Trevor, real quick about this, just say yes or no. If Van Gundy is hired by the Pacers, would Oladipo elect to stay with the franchise, yes or no?
Maybe, but I'm probably going to go with a yes on that.
All right. Isaiah, how about you?
I probably would say no, because even though you have a prominent coach, it doesn't mean you're going to get another star free agent or 2 to come to Indiana. And, Victor Oladipo has said in the past in interviews with Fat Joe that he wants to win a championship. That's what his priorities are for when he does get to free agency. And I really can't see Indiana getting a star free agent or 2 in the nearby future to pair with Victor Oladipo.
And Firmin, what do you think? Yes or no? In fact, if Van Gundy goes to Indiana, would Oladipo perhaps stay to help perhaps get that team back on track? What do you think?
I would also say no, and I would go in the lines of what Isaiah said. Everything he said is true. Victor Oladipo, I'm pretty sure he wants a championship right now. So if he's going to have to go to a team to win a championship, he's going to have to find a team that has already developed into a strong team chemistry. And the Pacers, there might be in a bit of a rebuilding mode right now. I don't think they're going to be like a championship contender. So, yeah.
All right, next team up, Trevor. How about Van Gundy to the LA Clippers, as already hinted by Angel in the chat box?
I kind of like that fit. I'm gonna have to say yes, but at the same time, is the Clippers need one more star talent because like you can't win an NBA championship in the West with only 2 star players. It's physically impossible. We've seen it with the Houston Rockets going up against the Golden State Warriors. If they had one more star player, I think they probably would have beat the Warriors at least once, one of those times, and they at least got an NBA Finals win out of it. So that's what I'm going to say, that, if Jeff Van Gundy ends up showing up, he needs to attract one more talent. Maybe Giannis comes through, and you really have something interesting in the West for sure.
All right, so Isaiah, Trevor's going to say yes to Van Gundy to the Clips. How about you?
Pull up that Daniel Bryan GIF, Callan. Yes, yes, yes. Hell yes to Van Gundy.
Yes! Yes!
Hell yes to Van Gundy with the Clippers. That is the perfect fit for Jeff Van Gundy. I was advocating for the Clippers to hire Jeff Van Gundy after Doc Rivers got fired. I think this is a perfect fit for him. He's a star name, Steve Ballmer. He likes flashy toys. I think he will be inclined to hire Jeff Van Gundy. Jeff Van Gundy, he's a strong coach. He can handle egos. He preaches discipline. I think that's what the Clippers need right now, is a strong coach that preaches discipline and can handle whatever egos are on that team. And also, this is a guy that he runs a style of offense that I believe that Kawhi Leonard and Paul George will be able to, or will want to play in, which is that slow half-court set style of offense.
So, Firmin, we got 2 votes for yes with Van Gundy to the Clippers. How about you?
I'll add it in for the sweep because Jeff Van Gundy is a really talented coach, really popular guy. The Clippers are a perfect fit for him. Well, Jeff Van Gundy and the Clippers, he's got a good bench. So if he's going to have a slow-paced offense, Kawhi and Paul George, like Isaiah said, are a perfect fit to that offense. It does just that. And also, I would also like to say that the Clippers probably had their momentum ruined by the NBA bubble. A lot of their players had some disciplinary issues, and they went in and out of the bubble for their own reasons. And look what happened when they came back into the bubble. Their bench completely collapsed against the Nuggets. And the other issue that I would like to address is Montrezl Harrell. He's a free agent, so you don't know if he's going to come back to the Clippers. But if he does come back, would Jeff Van Gundy be able to develop him into an even better player than what he was as a 6th man of the year? If that's possible, I think this is a perfect fit for Van Gundy, because the Clippers, I think these guys are a championship contender. And I know they choked against the Nuggets, but it wouldn't have happened if they actually had momentum, they actually had disciplinary issues resolved, and if they had things going throughout the season.
Also, guys, Angel agrees Van Gundy that Eclipse is the perfect fit. They already got the stars, however, though Christie has a bit of perhaps not quite fully on board, would say probably, but I don't know how well Jeff could probably handle the spotlight in LA. So definitely a fair point, though, for sure. Trevor, 2 more teams are left here. We'll start, though, with Van Gundy going to New Orleans.
Ooh, that's a very interesting one. A lot of young up-and-coming talent. So it's easy to probably groom them to a system that he may want to. And with Zion, I guess, becomes healthy next season, and with the a Ball brother there, I think it's something going to be interesting for him to go to. So I'm going to have to say a yes to this.
All right, so Isaiah, Trev's on board with Van Gundy to New Orleans. How about you?
You know what? I'm going to say yes as well, because Jeff Van Gundy, let's not forget, I know he hasn't coached in the NBA in 14 years, but I believe it was last year or the year before that, he did coach Team USA, and he did spend time developing and nurturing a lot of young talent. So I could see it, because I think that New Orleans, even though they're not like the veteran star talent that I think a coach like Van Gundy would want, but I think that Jeff Van Gundy sees a lot of really good young talent in New Orleans, and I think that he could honestly look at this and be like, hey, maybe I could turn this team into like the potential Golden State Warriors with how they develop a young team turned into a dynasty.
So, Firmin, we got 2 on board here for Van Gundy going to New Orleans. Going to vary, perhaps, probably the most intriguing, I think, spot for him to land maybe on this list of coaching searches underway in the NBA. Firmin, how about you with Van Gundy to the Pelicans?
I would say no, because the Pelicans are a pretty fast break heavy team. And last year, if you have Lonzo Ball on the offense and he's running the point guard, he's going to throw full court passes. He's going to throw full court lobs. He's going to throw all kinds of crazy fast-paced passes, shots, or whatever to Zion Williamson. And also Brandon Ingram's adapting to that now. So, and you also have a lot of bench players like JJ Redick. He loves to be fast-paced. He needs to get rid of the ball immediately the moment he touches it. And Drew Holiday, he's also developing into that. They're all working towards that style, and I don't think Jeff Van Gundy is going to be a good fit for that offense, because if he were to go to the New Orleans Pelicans, I think the very first thing he has to do is trade Lonzo Ball, and that's the number one thing that I would not want to happen because I'm a Lonzo Ball fan, so I cannot see him getting traded away from the Pelicans.
Definitely agreed. I think, of course, I call it intriguing, fellas, because of that core that New Orleans has. Williamson, Ball, Ingram, Josh Hart, of course, a veteran in JJ Redick and things like that. But I think it would be a very interesting and probably one that I think would be very intriguing for Van Gundy to perhaps entertain the offer. Angel replied back about the Clippers. He said, Van Gundy coaching the Clippers, he should be all right. Since then, again, 93% of LA talk is all about the Lakers. Angel says, though, if you add a player to go along with Zion, and the Pelicans are a 7 seed, in case he says do not see him going to New Orleans. Like I've said before, I think he either goes to Los Angeles with the Clippers or he stays in the ESPN broadcast booth. Trevor, the last one on the list, Jeff Van Gundy to Oklahoma City.
No, there's just no talent left, even though Chris Paul is there, and he almost upset the Rockets, but I just think it's not the market for him, and just the team. There's just so many missing pieces. And I feel like if you're a coach, you kind of want some pieces there and see if you can bring in extra talent to fill in those gaps. But there's just so many holes within OKC. I think it's just too much of a mess to just recreate something great out of it.
Yeah, Isaiah, I think you would agree, though, that a coach like Van Gundy, who's been gone for over, for 14 years, does not want to go into a spot where there's a major rebuild on its hands or on their hands. But Isaiah, your thoughts, though, maybe perhaps seeing Van Gundy going to Oklahoma City.
I'm going to say no. I think the only way Van Gundy does go to Oklahoma City is if they give him a John Gruden type deal, a 10-year, $100 million contract with full power with the front office and coaching duties. If they do that, like if they fire Sam Presti and give him a 10-year, $100 million plus contract with president of basketball operations power and then head coach, then I can see them doing it, but no way, because I just don't think a coach like Van Gundy wants to spend probably his last head coaching shot in the NBA rebuilding a team from scratch.
Firmin, what do you think? Clean sweep here in regards to no to Van Gundy to OKC. What do you think?
I would say no, because because the Thunder, just like you guys said, they are rebuilding. They don't have any star players left, and all of their decent players they're old now, and there's nothing left to develop from them. And I think Jeff Van Gundy has to have a better fresh start with a developing team or a team that has a lot of potential already. And the Thunder is not one of them.
Definitely agree, guys. Angel also agrees. Blame Daddy for Lonzo Ball being a bust for the Lakers. I think Lonzo is perfect, though, for New Orleans. Definitely agree. And sadly, when you're micromanaged by your father or by your parents, at least, though, when you're playing team sports, especially when you're a professional going and playing, in the NBA, and still, your dad who, had his career busted pretty much. That is a huge, huge thing in the back of his mind, though, for sure. But again, folks, rumors again about Jeff Van Gundy perhaps becoming a head coach somewhere along the lines. But again, which team will be the best fit? We'll find out, won't we, as the time does move on.
Hey, Cal, I would like to add one thing about Lonzo Ball. So I think this guy is really talented, and you cannot overlook him for all the terrible performances he's had. I think the number one reason why he hasn't been performing well, especially in the bubble, is because of his mental game. I think that's all he literally has to work on in order to become a really good player, or at least a huge threat on the court because he has a lot of talent around him, and I think the mental game is literally affecting him right now and preventing him from shooting consistently. I think he is nervous when he's out there, especially if you see his stat line on his free throws shooting 40 and 50%. That tells me that this guy probably has to stay focused and stay calm in the games. So do not look down on Lonzo Ball. I just think he just needs a lot of confidence coming into next season.
I definitely agree for sure, Firmin. Great, excellent point there. Trevor, we're going to move on, man, to Major League Baseball. Then there were 4 as we move on, guys, into the Championship Series, 1 round away now from the World Series. But, Trevor, it is all about the Tampa Bay Rays outslugging the New York Yankees here in San Diego as they win 2-1 on Friday to knock off the Yanks and move on into the ALCS versus the Houston Astros. Trevor, exciting series for sure if you're a baseball fan, seeing these two teams just hit home run after home run after home run, especially in a ballpark here in San Diego at Petco Park that was number 2 across Major League Baseball for most home runs hit this year behind Dodger Stadium in Los Angeles. Trevor, overall, man, epic series right down to the wire again, a 1-1 tie on Friday. It's a go-ahead homer by Tampa Bay to win the series in 5 games. Trevor, overall thoughts on Tampa Bay being this very great story right now in Major League Baseball, now moving on to face Houston in the ALCS right back here in San Diego starting on Sunday.
Let's hope that they can continue this fantastic story arc that they have and maybe get a ring out of it. But it's all going to boil down to next series against the Astros, though that the Yankees end up falling short in the series. That means in the grand scheme of it all, the Yankees are slowly about to build up to become another playoff dominant dynasty that we all know that they can become. So this is a great point for the Yankees to get back in it, get back in the swing of things, and maybe next year or in a couple years from now, we could see them back in the World Series.
Isaiah, I don't know if there was a better series out there for baseball fans to watch in regards to the excellent play, great pitching, home runs, you name it, man. This series had everything you could ask for it in a 5-game set. Again, it's the Rays who, again, Isaiah, totally owned and dominated the almighty New York Yankees this season in the regular season, then, of course, beat them in a great 5-game series. Isaiah, is this more about Tampa Bay being, just that much better than New York, or the Yankees, of course, having issues because of their ongoing problems with injuries as we have seen over so many recent years?
Callan, Trevor, Firmin, I think for me, it's about the Yankees just having issues. Because when you look at it, the Yankees right now, Callan, I was very disappointed in the New York Yankees. I think that this season was a major disappointment for them. I don't want to take anything away from the Tampa Bay Rays. They played a really, really great series. They had the best record this year in the American League. They were the number 1 seed. They played a really great series against the Yankees, and they deserve to win that game 5 against the Yankees when Mike Brozzo hit a home run against Aroldis Chapman, basically avenging what Chapman did to him in the regular season. That was nail him with a 99-mile-an-hour fastball. But overall, I just think that the New York Yankees, they were a major disappointment. They had the highest payroll in all of baseball. They had one of the best lineups in all of baseball, which from top to bottom was filled with guys like Aaron Judge, Gio Urshela, DJ LeMahieu, Giancarlo Stanton, Gleyber Torres, Luke Voigt, and a bunch of others who could easily crush 30-plus homers without breaking a sweat. Then the Yankees, they go out and sign the best pitcher in baseball in Garrett Cole last offseason to a ginormous 9-year contract worth over $300 million, which was supposed to solidify a rotation that was already stacked with a lot of great pitchers. And also, they had one of the best bullpens in baseball with guys like the fireballer Aroldis Chapman and Zach Britton leading their bullpen, and they still couldn't get it done. I get that they had a ton of injuries, but majority of those, I get that they had a ton of injuries. But, majority of those guys that were injured, they came back and were ready to go for the playoffs. And also, I know they ran into a great team in the Tampa Bay Rays, but I really thought the Yankees would win the series simply because I thought that even though the Rays had great starting pitching, I thought that the Yankees were better than the Tampa Bay Rays in all other areas. I thought the Yankees would outslug the Tampa Bay Rays, but the Yankees they just couldn't get it done once again. And Aroldis Chapman, he blows it in the final winner-take-all game, though this time it was against the Rays and not the Astros. There's just no more excuses for the Yankees. They are like the Dodgers. They have all the talent in the world, and they just can't get it done. They have to get it done and at some point. And to be honest, like I said to you, Callan, and Martin last night on our call, I honestly think the New York Yankees need to take a serious look at replacing their manager, Aaron Boone, because time and time again, this dude, even though he's a great regular season manager, he just makes really bad decisions in the playoffs that ends up costing the Yankees. Like in this series, he starts an opener in game 2 after the Yankees had taken game 1. He starts an opener, and the guy got roughed up. And then after that, he brought in J.A. Happ, who was supposed to be the original starting pitcher. But since Aaron Boone decided to start an opener, his routine got messed up. And then you saw what happened as J.A. Happ got roughed up by the Tampa Bay Rays, and that ended up costing the New York Yankees the win. It was basically a throwaway game for the New York Yankees. I really think you have to look at replacing Aaron Boone because there's just no more excuses, man. You have the best pitching staff in baseball. You have the best lineup in baseball, and you just can't get it done year in and year out. Something needs to change.
Something definitely needs to change, as I would agree, though. I still think that Aaron Boone's the right guy just by virtue of, he can't control injuries and when guys get hurt. And, of course, Judge and Stanton, again, the Yankees have been probably the worst, and usually the hardest hit team by injuries over the past 2 or 3, maybe 4 seasons. A couple of comments, guys. First, coming in from Bay Area Sports Scores. Do you guys have any thoughts about the Georgia wide receiver George Pickens getting a sportsmanlike conduct penalty for squirting water on a Tennessee player today as the quarterback ran out of bounds? We'll actually have more about that, myself and Isaiah, on the Saturday night edition of the night shift coming up later at 10 o'clock tonight about college football. But definitely some weird calls, and again, a lot of wild games so far in Major League and over as well. And also, guys, real quick, Angel says he's got Dodgers Rays in the World Series. Christie agrees, but would be totally fine with Dodgers Rays. Angel also says the Yankees started off great, but the injuries killed them. By experience, I thought the Yankees would have taken the ALDS over Tampa. And also, Case says for the Yankees, I did hear that Boone could be on the hot seat. And one rumor I heard on MLB radio: don't be surprised if the Yankees called the Marlins for permission to talk to Don Mattingly to become their next manager. But Firmin, what do you think more so about this series, though, man? Is it more so? I think Isaiah's right, though. Is it more so about Tampa Bay just being able to simply own the Yankees all season, or is all of it more so on the Yankees for, again, that big payroll and once more them falling short of their expectations of making and winning the World Series? What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's actually both. Tampa Bay Rays had a really good, strong finish to their regular season, and making it this far into the playoffs, I don't think they had any momentum ruined coming into the game against the Yankees. Even though the Yankees had higher expectations and they're expected to win out the series, Tampa Bay really steamrolled them. They were up 2-1, and they finished it off strongly. They even outdueled Garrett Cole in the series closer against the Yankees yesterday, and I'm not surprised, or actually I am actually very surprised that the Yankees didn't score more than 2 runs in that closer. With all their talent in their batting lineup, they should be able to get through this Rays pitching rotation, even though the Rays are really talented at that position. I do want to say that the Yankees did overpay a lot of their talented players.
Agreed.
Especially Giancarlo Stanton and Aaron Judge. These guys have been the most injury-prone players I have ever heard of in the MLB, and they remind me of the 49ers right now, because if you're going to overpay all of these players that much money to not even play more than 9 games per season, that's not going to help you out long-term, especially in the postseason. I do think that maybe Giancarlo Stanton and Aaron Judge were probably not 100% warmed up. They were not 100% ready to really show out in the postseason. But I do think the Rays outperformed the Yankees, because the Yankees had a great run before coming into the series against the Rays. Giancarlo Stanton hit a lot of homers that were, there were long bombs that you'd usually expect from him. LeMahieu, same thing, really good base runner. And also, I think the Rays, their pitching core really you cannot underestimate the Rays pitching core right now. I think these guys have a lot of momentum. They're really, the main core of the Rays right now. And if they're going to head on to the Houston Astros, I think the Astros have to be scared of this team because Houston also has a really great batting lineup. They did not play well in the regular season, but right now in the playoffs, they're starting to really look like the Yankees lineup. They are a huge threat to everybody that they're playing against. But I think the Rays do have this momentum on the pitching side because they have proven to everybody after beating the Yankees that they can face a lot of adversity. So I'm really hoping that the Rays would beat out the Houston Astros to make it to the World Series, because you have to admit it to every MLB fan out there, nobody wants to see the Astros and Dodgers in the World Series ever again.
Anyone versus LA is totally fine by me, and hopefully the team that beats LA wins the World Series. Just thought I'd throw that out there. Guys, a game break from college football. Again, a very wild day on this Saturday, but per Christy Wilson, the Rebels and Tide are tied at 42 apiece in the fourth quarter, a shootout going on between those two SEC ball clubs. Angel agrees, though, the Rays were not the best team in the AL by accident, reminding him a lot of the 1994 Montreal Expos before they were good before the season, of course, stopped because of the player strike back in that season. With that, Trevor, week 5 of the NFL season upon us on Sunday, of course, as mentioned, we've still have had a lot of games being moved around again due to, again, COVID-19 concerns across the NFL still. But more so, Trevor, a lot of people still talking about that Chicago Bears victory on Thursday night over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 20-19, but more so, remember, though, I think for the wrong reasons, Trevor, again, of the great Tom Brady having a monumental brain fart and brain lapse, losing track of the downs as, again, the Bears held off Tampa 20-19. Trevor, give us your thoughts about this ending more so. Like I had said, though, buddy, maybe on Friday on the Quarantine Network, though, Chicago Bear fans literally lose their mind and hold their breath and watch with bated breath whenever their kicker comes onto the field to attempt a 30-plus yard field goal in the dying minute or dying seconds of a ball game. Of course, Cody Parkey killing Bear fans a couple of years ago against the Eagles in the playoffs. But Trevor, overall thoughts more so on the final minute 13 of this game, and of course, Tom Brady's big-time brain fart that cost Tampa the victory or a potential victory on Thursday Night Football.
Yeah, it was one of those weird scenarios where it's like, yes, I go down and score, but I left too much time left on the clock for Tom Brady to make a magical comeback drive and going down to either put himself in field goal range to win or going down for a touchdown to seal the deal and going up. So it was really hard to dictate what Tom Brady was going to do. But it was his mishap where he thought it wasn't fourth down, but in reality it was. He ended up blowing his own game. And it was like he was like really frustrated, like saying, no one told me it was fourth down, but like you're the quarterback and you've been in this league for how long? And your game awareness is not saying, hey, this is fourth down. Maybe I need to think about getting the first down instead of getting myself in field goal range. So there's some weird issues in that. And at the same time, I remember seeing some funny comments on Facebook saying that Belichick can't save you anymore. It's time to move on, Tom Brady. So it was one of those scenarios. So it's on him. And at the same time, Tom Brady did not shake Nick Foles' hand after this game. It's the second time this has happened. So he's really salty at Nick Foles for some reason. So somebody explain to me, why is this man so salty and not shaking Nick Foles' hand?
0-2 now against Nick Foles, and both times no handshakes given, guys. A couple comments did flood in here real quick. Angel agrees, though, Chicago earned the W on Thursday, and Christy says Brady for getting the down made her and her husband laugh with that. But Isaiah, I know, man, that we have seen some very bad blunders. I think, sadly, though, J.R. Smith is still the top of everyone's list with his brain fart. Mark Sanchez and the butt fumble is up there. But now I think Tom Brady has got to be up there, though, sadly, man, even though he's got one of the greatest resumes of all time in the NFL. But Isaiah, give us your thoughts here more so about both, for one, a made field goal by a Chicago kicker to give them a victory, for one, because, of course, we have seen all the video of over the past several years of the fans taunting Cody Parkey after that missed field goal in the postseason. But also more than anything else, though, Isaiah, the big-time blunder, though, by Tom Terrific late in the game, and again, forgetting what down it was as the Bears held on to win 20-19 on Thursday Night Football.
All right, so Callan, you know how much I like you, man, but you're probably not going to want to hear this, but I don't think that I don't think that field goal should have happened, because if you guys don't remember, I think it was like 4 or 5 plays before, there was a terrible roughing the passer penalty on Shaq Barrett. I believe that should have been a sack, and that should have been game over right there. I am still fuming to this day about that play. That should have never been a penalty. I don't understand, how is that roughing the passer? It was the softest call I've ever seen. I mean, the guy like literally just sacked him. He didn't put his body weight on him. He spun out of the way as the quarterback was going to the ground, and you still call that roughing the passer. So I honestly don't know what roughing the passer is anymore in the NFL. I mean, I think the NFL should have the football players strap on some flags and instead play flag football instead of tackle football, or who knows, play two-hand touch instead of tackle football, because that's where we're going with how soft these NFL officials have been calling the games. But in terms of Brady's blunder, I'm going to throw something out to you guys that is very interesting. I saw this on a comment, I think it was on YouTube, when I was rewatching the Brady blunder, and one of the guys that commented, he says that he doesn't think that Brady had a blunder. He think that Brady was just, throwing up that 4 fingers to try to trick the referees into giving him another down. I think the guy said he was trying to get the referee to think, hey man, you made a mistake. It's not 4th down. That was not 4th down. That was a 3rd down play instead of 4th down, to give the Buccaneers another shot at it. Because let's face it, Brady is smart, man. Brady's one of the smartest quarterbacks in the NFL. He's not gonna make that dumb blunder. So I don't honestly believe that he really forgot the down. I honestly believe that he just did that to try to trick the referee into giving Tampa Bay another down. But nice try, Tom. Nice try.
Isaiah, I'll agree with you about roughing the passer, but I will say, though, and I think a lot of people would agree, though, it's nice for once to see a call go against Brady, because if that was Brady, that would have been roughing the passer. It's nice, and it was nice in my mind, not because my Bears benefited from the call, though, but nice to not see Brady get a call like that, but see someone else get it that kept that drive alive. And also, it could have been perhaps some gamesmanship or whatnot, perhaps, and also, real quick, more thoughts also streaming in. Casey says, good win by the Bears in that Monday night game in 3 weeks versus his Rams. Looking like a good one. Definitely should be up at SoFi. And also, Angel said, I thought Brady holding 4 fingers because he wanted to be a part of the 4 horsemen in pro wrestling, laughing out loud. And also, fellas, he's got a good one here, though. Chris Webber feels your pain, Tom, in regards to calling a timeout he did not have. And, of course, he got a technical foul, and also somewhere at Fox. Frank Barron's twin brother is yanking his hair because of the Rams' hot start. Definitely agree. But Firmin, what do you think, though, man, more so about this game? Of course, the Bears probably get a very, perhaps a gift call from the officials. Normally it's Brady getting a gift call from the officials, but it goes the other way for the opposition. They make the field goal from Cairo Santos from about 30-plus yards out. And, of course, Brady trying to get that team down the field. And, of course, I even tweeted out, Firmin, with that minute 13 left, I still felt like that was way too much time for Brady to, for Tom to take that field or take the team down the field, though. But, of course, that blunder happens. Firmin, what stands out more so in your mind as you think about that last minute 13 between Chicago and Tampa Bay on Thursday night?
So I just have to first respond to Isaiah about what he said about the penalty. So Nick Foles had a roughing the passer penalty against him, but Tom Brady had 1 extra possession. Don't forget that. He had 1 extra possession to come back. The Bears did not have a drive going, but Brady, they had a 3-and-out right after that. And that's what led to the Bears kicking that game-winning field goal. So in my mind, I did agree with Isaiah that penalty shouldn't have been called, but it had no effect to what happened at the end of this game. What really took over, and I know everybody, including me, expected Brady to have, with 1 minute left to go down the field, he would definitely help you score. But I think this was a game where both teams had really great defensive performances, and it really shut down the offenses for both teams. Now, I'm not going to go into the Bears too much because obviously, like, who's going to talk about their offense? It just doesn't exist.
Horrible.
Tom Brady's offense is completely loaded regardless of injuries. They have a lot of drive, a lot of momentum going every single time they're out on the field, but the momentum got completely ruined by the Bears defense. And that number one player that really stood out to me that shut down Brady was Khalil Mack. And I think that's what Brady had been thinking about the whole entire game, which led to his mental blunder at the very end. Khalil Mack frustrated Brady many times during that game, including really, really good sacks. Going up against, I forgot who the tackle was. It was number 76. But Brady got frustrated at his entire offensive line for not being able to hold up to give time for Brady to throw the ball. So big shout out to Khalil Mack. And I think that's what happened on the 4th down play where Brady thought it was a 3rd down. He probably thought about Khalil Mack trying to sack him again. So he was like, I'm just going to have to throw this ball down the field as far as I can. So I think that was the main reason Chicago Bears got the win that day. And looking into the perspective of both offenses, I think Brady played just as bad as Nick Foles did on offense. They both had really good, their receivers had really good separations, but especially on those deep throws, Brady and Foles completely missed the receivers on those deep throws. Either it was an underthrow or the ball just went completely sideways. Nothing connected between Brady or Foles. Obviously, the defense played a big factor into it, but most importantly, you're going to have to make these throws count and make them accurate. And if I'm the Bears right now, I'd be really concerned with Nick Foles, even though he made that pretty nice throw to set up the Bears for that game-winning field goal at the end. I am concerned about his accuracy and how he's going to be able to carry this Bears offense. You're going to need to be able to perform consistently every week, especially since your play caller is non-existent. You need, I feel really bad for Bears fans and whoever's watching the show right now. If you're a Bears fan, you guys are lucky to be 4-1 because every single game I've watched so far is like the Chargers games. They always win like 17-16. It's always these field goal situations that set up the Bears to win, or they somehow have a miracle comeback in the 4th quarter after having 3 straight quarters of no offense. So that's a really major concern for me if I'm a Bears fan. I really do think this team is really strong right now, mainly because of the defense. But if you do have a better play caller and also add more pieces to the offense, this team does have a potential to be a Super Bowl team again.
And of course, that Chicago defense, fellas, is no slouch, and they've been that way for a very long time. Of course, as we all know about the history of the Bears and their defense. Some thoughts here, guys. Angel actually disagrees with Firmin. He says the Bears being 4-1 is no accident. And with 7 teams now making the postseason, he could see the Bears making the postseason this year. And Christie agrees with Khalil Mack, saying that Mack is a stud. So definitely agree with that as well. And again, the Bears win 20-19 on Thursday. And again, are 4-1 behind the currently unbeaten Packers, who play on Sunday and will look to go to 5-0 on the season. With that, Trevor, our last talking point before we, in fact, dive into some of our fun stuff tonight is, again, 2 starting quarterbacks being demoted, and not just being demoted to the 2nd string, Trevor, to the 3rd string spot on the depth chart. That is both Nick Mullins and Dwayne Haskins Jr., both who have been, again, demoted from starter to 3rd string quarterback. Trevor, give us your thoughts and reaction to the news about both these QBs, again, who I know have struggled over the past couple of games, but man, talk about losing your job in a big way, again, going from being the starter to the 3rd string guy now on the depth chart.
I don't think either of these guys should be 3rd string quarterbacks. I feel like that's just a huge disrespect. I understand Jimmy G's getting back to the swing of things and getting back this week, but at the same time, it's like, why risk Jimmy G right now? And if he gets hurt again, you're going to be stuck with Nick Mullins, or since you've now demoted him to 3rd string, you have a no-name guy trying to take the reins of your 49ers team who literally will probably just hand the ball off to your running backs and call it a day. And everyone on fantasy is going to be upset since they have a lot of 49er wide receivers potential. Now it's just basically a wasted team, and everyone's going to be trying to trade away their picks. And then for the Washington Redskins, they literally have no talent for Dwayne Haskins to get the ball to. So what is Dwayne Haskins even going to do? It's like this man's on an island of nowhere, and it's just like it's heartbreaking to watch him play and just get beat so badly week after week. Give this man some talent. Give him something to work with. If he has talent around him, this will be a different Washington Redskins team, and they're just literally just not giving him the weapons to do so. And I understand Alex Smith is technically like the second-string quarterback now, but it's just like Washington is a hot mess, and they can't really figure out anything right now.
Trevor, Christie agrees with you. She says that the demotions of Mullins and Haskins are kind of harsh, in my opinion, and also Angel agrees. It could be worse, though, for the Washington pro football team. They could have Steve Spurrier coaching. Just ask Patrick Ramsey in his mind. But Isaiah, how about over to you? Of course, man, we know that Nick Mullins is your guy, regardless of whatever you say or not on this network or in the group chats on Facebook. I think, though, man, that Christie's right, though. It's one thing to lose your starting job and be, like, moved to the number 2 spot. But Isaiah, all the way to the third-string quarterbacks. Now you're looking at Garoppolo and Beathard for San Francisco, and now you're looking at Kyle Allen and a one-legged Alex Smith as the quarterbacks now for Washington. Isaiah, give us your thoughts for the news again about both these QBs losing their jobs and whatnot going forth. What do you got for us? Isaiah, you're muted, buddy.
Callan, I think we're going to have to scrap the night shift tonight because I might go on a 3-hour rant about how Nick Mullins has been given an unfair hand by the San Francisco 49ers. To all the audience that is watching this right now, buckle your seatbelt, fasten your seatbelts and get ready. Get your drinks ready. Callan, get your shades ready because I am going to be on a long rant right now. So, Callan, Trevor, Firmin, the NFL is a cruel business. These guys were starters literally a week ago, and now they are third stringers. Not even backups. Third freaking stringers. I love Kyle Shanahan, but I think he was wrong for this. I believe that Nick Mullins got a raw deal with the San Francisco 49ers. In fact, I'm going to take it one more step. I think Nick Mullins, even though I have his jersey, his 49ers number 4 jersey, I think Nick Mullins should leave the 49ers this offseason and go somewhere else when he's a free agent. This dude had one bad game out of 10 games he's played in his entire career, and you not only bench him in the middle of the game, but you demote him to not even the backup role, but the third string quarterback role. That's absolutely ridiculous, man. Let's look at Nick Mullins' first 10 starts, shall we? He is, let me see here. iPad is a bit slow. Sorry about that, guys. There it is. Nick Mullins, in 10 career starts, he's 227 for 343, 2,891 yards passing, 15 touchdowns, and 12 interceptions. I repeat, 15 touchdowns and 12 interceptions. Those are not bad numbers, ladies and gentlemen, especially for a guy that went undrafted.
That's facts.
Yeah, this just confirms what I've been saying for a long, long time, and that is Kyle Shanahan is not a fan of Nick Mullins. He's never been a fan of Nick Mullins. When Nick Mullins was available in the draft, Kyle Shanahan didn't take him, and instead he drafted C.J. Beathard, and only then, when Nick Mullins was dumped into undrafted free agency, then did Kyle Shanahan and the 49ers pick him up, but that was only because Rich Scangarello, the 49ers quarterbacks coach at that time, begged Kyle Shanahan to sign him because that was Rich Scangarello's favorite quarterback. And then let's move into 2 years ago. We had seen a year of C.J. Beathard the year prior, and he was downright atrocious. And you could see the following year in training camp and preseason who was the better quarterback, and that was Nick Mullins. And still, Nick Mullins didn't get any respect from Kyle Shanahan and the coaching staff, and he was put as the number 3 quarterback on the depth chart. And then when Garoppolo gets hurt back in 2018, C.J. Beathard, he comes in and he plays garbage, loses the first 5 games, and majority of us Niner fans were clamoring for Nick Mullins to start just because we were tired of seeing the same darn crap every single weekend, and we wanted a fresh look at a new guy at quarterback. instead of the garbage Beathard, but Kyle Shanahan wouldn't listen, and he kept starting CJ because of his massive ego, and only when CJ got hurt, then did Kyle Shanahan finally give in and begrudgingly started Nick Mullins, and then Nick Mullins balled out in the games that he started, and he showed Kyle Shanahan that he's a better quarterback than CJ Beathard. Nick Mullins has a better arm. He's got a much quicker release than CJ Beathard. He's got better footwork. Nick Mullins is a better quarterback than CJ Beathard, and I think the only reason why Kyle Shanahan keeps wanting to put CJ Beathard ahead of Nick Mullins is because he doesn't want to admit that he was wrong for picking CJ Beathard in the 3rd round in the 2017 NFL draft. I love Kyle Shanahan, but that's going to be his undoing. It's his big freaking ego. I'm sorry, but Nick Mullins needs to get the heck out of San Francisco immediately and go to a team and a coaching staff that actually wants him and that would properly develop and nurture him and want to see him succeed. Because I believe if he does, he will be a pretty decent NFL starting quarterback. And, you know, as far as Dwayne Haskins is concerned, I also believe that he should ask out of Washington because, let's face it, the Washington football team, as they call themselves, that's where young quarterback careers go to die. Just look at RG3, Colt Brennan. I'm sure there's many other examples. Even though I don't really like him because, as you guys know, I hate Ohio State. And this dude played for Ohio State and would constantly rip my heart out. When I was cheering against them. But Dwayne Haskins, like Trevor said, he never got a fair shot in Washington. The coaches never wanted him. Jay Gruden, according to reports, was against Washington drafting him in the beginning, and he did an awful job developing him. And then they bring in Ron Rivera, who's a tremendous coach. And what does he do? He say all the right things about how Dwayne Haskins is his guy and he believes in him and all that stuff. And, you know, Ron Rivera turns around in free agency, and the next thing he does, he signs Kyle Allen, who was his starting quarterback with the Carolina Panthers, to a 3-year deal. That just shows me right there, Haskins is not your guy. And when Haskins did start, he was dealt a terrible hand. His running backs were terrible. His offensive line was garbage. His wide receiver corps makes me and Callan look like Hall of Famers, and, you know, as well. So, you know, I just think just like Nick Mullins, I think Dwayne Haskins needs to ask out, and he needs to go to a place where the coach believes in him and wants to develop him and nurture him and want him to succeed.
I didn't know I was in a lecture.
I should teach a class about Nick Mullins maybe at UC Berkeley. They should hire me.
I felt like I was in a history class.
Trevor's like, it's Saturday. Why am I sitting through another damn lecture about some subject I don't need to learn about? Firmin, a lot there to digest from Isaiah. Just some thoughts that trickled in during the course of Isaiah's rant, real quick. First and foremost, starting off with our buddy James Gonzalez, who said Washington is Washingtoning. I believe I said that very close to being right. Angel agrees. I would have saved Jimmy G for Sunday Night Football versus the Rams. With the Niners playing the Dolphins, I would have had Beathard start tomorrow and not have Jimmy G. Casey agrees. Terry Bradshaw and Joe Buck probably not happy about the Rams starting off very well. Christy, in regards to the rant from Isaiah, prepare to walk off the set, guys. No, we just put our shades on and kind of fall asleep and find things to do on our work desks over here. Angel says he's going to save his 4th Coke Zero for the night shift, laughing out loud. Christy put on her Sasha Banks inspired shades on for the rant there. Casey agrees we got to have a night shift to talk about these college football games. A lot of college football coming away in roughly 2 to 2.5 hours or so here for this Saturday. Angel agrees Joe Buck is going to cry when the Rams play the Pats on Thursday Night Football. Also, guys, a game break that trickled in too. Bama ahead of Ole Miss by 3 with 5 minutes left to go in the 4:45-42. And Stephen Wang actually is going to agree with Isaiah. The Niners were, in fact, too harsh on Nick Mullins. I definitely think that both these teams are being way too harsh on these two young quarterbacks. Angel agrees, and also saying that Cam Newton coming back is an inspiration in regards to that going up. But more so, Christy, I agree with her, though. Blame Daniel Snyder for that, what's gone on with the Washington football team's issues. Angel says Terry Bradshaw would use that game as his day off. James writes in, I've never seen someone go from loving to hating someone more than Isaiah feels about Nick Mullins. Damn, the viewers dropping bombshells. And also, Angel agrees about the night shift, especially after that very loony OU Texas game today. But Firmin, again, a lot to unpack there, buddy, in regards to Isaiah. And again, all of our thoughts here again. I do agree, though, with everyone. Very harsh to see a starting quarterback so young, too, like a Mullins or a Haskins, go from starter to third string, where you're literally holding the clipboard for the offensive coordinator and for the coaching staffs. Firmin, maybe in a bit of a nutshell, maybe, Bud, how about your thoughts about Haskins and Mullins' big-time demotions from starters to third stringers?
All right. Nick Mullins had one bad game. Like, I don't understand what everybody or every single 49ers fan I'm seeing out there are thinking of. You guys literally have every reason that you're pulling out of your rabbit's hat to hate on Nick Mullins. I don't feel like Nick Mullins deserves all the hate he's getting right now. Yes, he had a terrible game against the Eagles. That was literally his worst game of his career. But if you're going to look in retrospect, all his other games he's played, he's been crazy. He's been balling out. He's been literally the best backup you can ever ask for in the NFL. And that is why Isaiah and I went onto this huge Nick Mullins rant about Jimmy G versus Nick Mullins on who should be the starter. Nick Mullins averaged 280 yards in his career as a starter before that Eagles game. This guy had everything going the right way for him. And compared to CJ Beathard, it just doesn't make sense to me why you would demote him into third string after just one bad game. CJ Beathard, I don't think he's ever won a single game for the 49ers, except I guess he won one game against the New York Giants that one year, but this guy has lost every single game with the 49ers. And you're going to rely on this guy as our backup quarterback from now on to Jimmy G. So that means our season's on the line if Jimmy G gets hurt again. And Nick Mullins, this guy has a lot of these crazy games where the 49ers have every single offensive momentum going. And if you don't have Nick Mullins in 2018, where's George Kittle going to play for in 2019 and 2020? He was nothing without Nick Mullins. Nick Mullins, yes, he targets him a lot in like every single game, but Nick Mullins made George Kittle the guy he is now. He made George Kittle like the best tight end in the NFL because he's able to find him at the right time. They have a good, strong connection, and Nick Mullins knows how to get his guys open. You guys literally, the 49ers offensive line literally sold out against Nick Mullins against the Eagles. Trent Williams, you're being paid to be the best offensive tackle in the NFL, and you had a terrible game against the Eagles. You could not block at all. Mike McGlinchey, we wasted a first-round pick on you. These past few games, I don't know what to say. You drop your weight, but I don't think that's helping you because everybody I'm seeing on the defensive side is getting beat or is beating you. You're literally getting beat by every single player, second string, third string, fourth string defensive ends. It doesn't matter who you put against Mike McGlinchey. And you're going to tell me that Nick Mullins is not going to play well, or you're gonna say that it's all 100% Nick Mullins' fault for having that bad game against the Eagles? He was put under the heaviest pressure with terrible play calling, terrible offensive linemen, and a coach that now we've seen that doesn't trust him at putting the game away, or at least backing up Jimmy G, going on to the rest of the season to save the 49ers a spot for the playoffs. So I'm very disappointed by Kyle Shanahan's decision. And I'm just going to go into a bigger rant against CJ Beathard. This guy, like I said, hasn't won a single start in years. And this guy has the slowest and worst feel for the pocket I've ever seen from any NFL player. Like, if you see CJ Beathard play, and if you're not a 49ers fan, even if you are a 49ers fan and you see this offensive line playing this bad, I guarantee you CJ Beathard's going to have he's going to break the records for the most quarterback fumbles and the most sacks in the NFL if you're going to stick this guy up to the second spot as our backup for the 49ers. And I'm guaranteeing everybody in the NFL, especially those in the NFL, in the NFC Eastern Conference, if you're the fans for any of those teams, you are begging on your knees to have a backup quarterback like Nick Mullins. All right, so enough of Nick Mullins. Now I'm going to go off on Haskins as well. Haskins, anybody that has played for Urban Meyer and also the Ohio State's offense, these guys have overinflated stats. These guys are not the playmakers you want to expect to be first-round talent. And I'm just trying to be honest here. But I do believe that this was a harsh decision against Haskins because he played against Baltimore and he did not have a bad game. I don't think he had a single turnover. But demoting him into third string is a questionable decision because that just tells you that either the coach has no confidence in you or he's probably trying to get you to continue to develop and just continue learning from the offense that he has imprinted. Ron Rivera got Kyle Allen off of the free agency because he's used to seeing him play. Alex Smith is a great veteran backup. I think he can coach Dwayne Haskins into becoming a really good game manager because that's what I think who Dwayne Haskins is. You guys are all right about Dwayne Haskins with Washington's terrible offense. They got no weapons to support him, no offensive line. Haskins is basically by himself, which is true. And I do also agree that if you do have a lot of talent around Dwayne Haskins, this guy can literally bring your team to the Super Bowl. But there's a different type of quarterback that can bring you to the Super Bowl versus being placed in a good team and help them make it to the Super Bowl. And that's exactly what Dwayne Haskins is. He's the latter. I think Haskins is a career game manager like Jake Fromm in Georgia. If you have a lot of talent around him, he will be playing really well for you. He can really adjust well and excel in a really strong offense that has a lot of good players and also a strong defense. But if you're going to put him in a team that doesn't have talent at all, I don't think there's just any way to develop this type of player. The best comparison, if you're asking me right now, I'm a 49ers fan, and in 2004 or 2005, I forgot which year, we really messed up on that draft. We drafted Alex Smith as the first pick instead of Aaron Rodgers. And you've seen the difference maker Aaron Rodgers makes when you put him in the Green Bay Packers versus Alex Smith in the Kansas City Chiefs and the 49ers. Alex Smith is a career game manager. He's probably your best head coach for Dwayne Haskins right now, teaching him how to throw 5-yard checkdowns, give the ball to the running back for screens or whatever. But look at Aaron Rodgers. The game's on the line. He's down big. He gets you back into the game. He slings the ball downfield. He's not afraid to throw the ball under pressure, and he makes these plays count. He's been so clutch for the Green Bay Packers, and this is the type of player that everybody expects first-round quarterbacks to develop into. But this is not what Dwayne Haskins has become. And I don't want to, buy into the excuses that Dwayne Haskins doesn't have talent around him. Because look at what RG3 did in 2012 in his rookie season. He did not have too much talent around him. And he had a rookie running back. But yet they had one of the strongest offenses in the NFL. And RG3 was the rookie of the year and brought that team to the playoffs. And I know you guys hate this guy a lot, but you guys have to remember Kirk Cousins played really well for Washington, and this team was a broken team back then. Before Kirk Cousins got traded, this guy was crazy. He came back from 24-0 against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and he put on a show to bring Washington back to the win. That's something that Dwayne Haskins can't do right now, and it's pretty obvious. He's not being put in a position to really sling the ball. He's more of a game manager. He's not your Kirk Cousins back in the day. He's not your Aaron Rodgers. I think Dwayne Haskins, what you're really looking for is a team that needs you the most to help your team win. And as a game manager, you're going to have to find a team with better talent. Maybe the Chicago Bears, because the Bears do have loads of talent and they just need a game manager to help them drive the ball down the field slowly by slowly. So that's what I'm looking for if I'm Dwayne Haskins. And yes, I do feel like the demotion is too harsh on him, but he is not worth the first-round talent, and I do believe he is a career game manager. You've heard it right here.
You like that? You like that?
I think we all would agree, Kirk. We do, in fact, like that, guys. Plenty of comments trickled in, too, during Firmin having the floor. Quick game break, fellas. Don't know if we broke in about this game break, but Bama's now on top, 56-45 with 3 minutes to go in the ball game at last check of that scoreboard. Also, Angel has some comments. Agreed about Mullins. His two mistakes were was the fourth quarter fumble and pick six. Take those away, and he had a great game last week. There's 2 or 3 teams that are a good fit for Dwayne Haskins in his mind. Kyle Shanahan may be the 49ers coach, but not very bright. Just look what happened in the Super Bowl. Shareable Steve writes in, Haskins needs more time to develop and be put into more game time situations. Too early in his mind to give up on him. Still think he's a better QB than Darnold and Daniel Jones. Also, Angel says that the Rams are going to bury the Washington Pro Football team also on Sunday. And also 05 and before that, they could have had Steven Jackson as their running back in 2005. Also, James Gonzalez says the problem is the expectations of 49er fans with their QBs being Joe Montana or Steve Young. Remember, those two are not walking through that door in his mind. James also agrees that Haskins is a souped-up version of Alex Smith. Lightning does not strike twice in a bottle thrice or twice or thrice. Angel's comment did pop up, though. Smith was doing the same for the Skins before his broken leg. And also another game break. Clemson clobbering the U, 35-17, 6 minutes to go in the game. Also, Case says also, Angel, remember that Shanahan was the offensive coordinator for the Falcons when they blew the big lead in the Super Bowl in 2016 as well. With that, gents, we'll now move over now into our Week 5 edition of Pigskin Pick'em. Of course, folks, we usually do 2 college games and 2 pro games, but by virtue of us coming on air on a Saturday, we're doing 4 NFL games for the upcoming week ahead. Trevor, we'll start with you for our first game. We've actually switched a couple of games out on the schedule. First up, Trevor, Dolphins and Niners. Who you got?
Fitzmagic is too inconsistent. I feel like the Niners defense can still put together good turnovers here and there, though they don't have like their edge rusher in Bosa. But I think the Niners will still be able to keep this game low scoring and just hope that Jimmy G can take care of business and win this game. So I'm going to go with the 49ers on this one.
Okay, Isaiah, 1 vote for the Niners to knock off Miami. How about you?
I got the Niners winning this game, but I'm kind of scared because a lot of people don't talk about the Miami defensive line. They are underrated, and they're going up against a 49er offensive line who looked like they would get pushed around by a high school team last week against the Eagles. So I'm scared that, with Jimmy G still not being really fully healthy and having to deal with that gimpy left ankle, one hit on that left ankle, and, Jimmy G could potentially be done for the year. So watch out for that, ladies and gentlemen. Watch out for how that offensive line does. I'm still going to go with the Niners, though, because I think they have the better team.
All right, Firmin, 2 votes now for the Niners to knock off the Dolphins, even though, of course, Isaiah has some very great points about maybe being a bit reserved, though, due to, again, the injury suffered by Garoppolo. How about you, Dolphins or the Niners?
I think this game could go both ways because Ryan Fitzpatrick is a really good quarterback. I'll tell you that. He's really good as a backup quarterback. He gives you these primetime quality games where he goes off, but at the same time, in the next following week, his inconsistency comes in and probably he'll throw a lot of picks for you. I would go for the 49ers in this one, but it's a very tough decision for me because you guys cannot sleep on the Miami Dolphins this year. They've actually played really well against the best teams in the NFL. They've beaten the Jacksonville Jaguars, who are obviously struggling right now, but nobody expected the Dolphins to put out a show against Miami like that, or against the Jacksonville Jaguars like that on Thursday. And also against the Buffalo Bills, they had a shootout, and Buffalo Bills defense they have a high reputation as being really dominant, and Ryan Fitzpatrick torched them. They lost a really close game, and last week against Seattle, same thing. Ryan Fitzpatrick, he went off against Seattle, and obviously Russell Wilson is much better on offense, really creates the ball and throws it down the field more often. But Miami kept the game really close throughout all these games and the recent games that they've played. So I'm really concerned for the 49ers on Sunday because this team cannot be slept on. And your offensive line, especially playing since you've completely collapsed against the Eagles, if you're Mike McGlinchey and Trent Williams, you really have to step it up against this Dolphins defensive line. And if you're Jimmy Garoppolo, you have to really remind yourself of where you've been at in the previous season, playing as the 49ers quarterback. You had so many comeback drives, and this is time for you to do the same thing. You need to have a comeback drive mindset going into tomorrow's game, because I think Ryan Fitzpatrick could really put this game into a shootout regardless of our defense, especially since our defense is completely broken down and injured. Ryan Fitzpatrick, if he has one of those days where he goes off, it's going to be a lot of trouble for the 49ers. And if we're going to still start Dante Johnson as our number 2 corner, Fitzpatrick lives by these deep balls. He's going to throw it to you all day if he knows that you're the worst cornerback in the NFL and you shouldn't even have a job right now. So Fitzpatrick, if he's smart enough, all he has to do is throw the ball to Dante Johnson on his side 24/7, and you'll win the game. I guarantee that. So let's hope that Fitzpatrick has one of those terrible games where he just throws a lot of interceptions or pick sixes, because I'm thinking this is going to be really close. It's going to be a very back and forth game between the 49ers and the Dolphins.
Give me Ryan Fitzpatrick, give me Ace Ventura, give me Snowflake, and give me the Dolphins, because I am very concerned about how, in fact, Garoppolo is. That's why I picked Miami, fellas, in our group pick'ems, even before Garoppolo was going to come back, because I just didn't know, for one, who was going to start, but also, now that he's back, though, how healthy is he actually going to be? I'm going to go with Miami in this game just for the reason of the question marks, again, being posed by the 49ers and their offense, and also their quarterback situation. Next game up, Trevor, Giants and Cowboys, 2 very awful ball clubs in an awful division. Who you got, Daniel Dimes Jones or Dak Prescott?
How about them Cowboys? I'm going Cowboys on this one. Though that they came off a tough loss against the Cleveland Browns, I think they're going to bounce back this week and take care of business and bring the dub for the Cowboys. So Cowboys on this week.
All right, 1 vote, Isaiah, for the Cowboys to get back on track against the 0-for-4 Giants. How about you?
I got to go with Trevor as well. How about them Cowboys? I'm going to go with the Cowboys winning this game. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game because both defenses are awful. Cowboys defense, we've documented their issues. Giants defense, they made Nick Mullins look like a Hall of Famer when he played against them that Sunday at MetLife Stadium. It's going to be a high-scoring game, but I think at the end of the day, Dallas just has more experience on their side, and I think they're going to pull it out, because I think they've been hearing all that chirping that we've been talking about them and how they suck.
All right, Firmin, 2 votes for Dallas to get back on track and knock off the winless Giants. How about you?
I've got the Cowboys as well. It's going to be three players, 3 of us going for the Cowboys, but I really hate how I have to pick all these games for the NFC East. It just seems as all 4 of these teams just want to lose every week, no matter how big of a lead they have or how bad they're playing. They're just going to lose. So might as well just pick a tie, right? But I still think Dallas has this against New York Giants. The Dallas offense is really talented. I'll just say that. Their defense is lacking. They need everybody to step up except for Aldon Smith. So all of you guys need to really help Dak Prescott live out his legacy in Dallas, because Dak Prescott's getting all the hate right now against him for being overpaid and everything. But he's trying really hard to bring you guys back in all of these games. Look at Atlanta, and I forgot who he played last week, but he had these really close games. And
Browns.
The Browns, almost like 500 yards. So, he did have 500 yards. So, yeah, you need to help Dak Prescott. And I do think Dallas is going to take the division eventually because of how bad this entire NFC East is.
Definitely agree. I'm going with Dallas again. I've been kind of rolling with them all year. But, fellas, if they lose, though, somehow to the Giants, boy, oh boy, Stephen A is going to be choking on all those chocolate chip cookies and milk he's been eating over the past several days. By the way, Trevor, Stephen wanted to roast you. Hey, Trevor, how about them Longhorns? That is bad. No, they're bad. They're not back. They're bad. Also, real quick, fellas, James says if Daniel Jones does not play well versus the awful Dallas defense, that's concerning for the Giants for the future. And also, Angel says Giants Cowboys are on CBS just like the good old days back in the prime. With that, Trevor, next game up, Denver at New England. What do you got for us?
I'm going with the Patriots on this one. It's Bill Belichick. When's the last time you lost to Denver? I understand they don't have Cam Newton at quarterback, but I feel like their current quarterback can be able to – I guess their backup quarterback can fill in and take care of business on this one. And their defense is still solid, so it's definitely going to be a slugfest and low scoring for sure. But I think since it's Bill Belichick as head coach, I think he's going to be able to muster out a win in this game.
Isaiah, I'm already picking my next sound effect for you, so just tell us why you're going to pick Denver to beat New England on Sunday.
Callan, Trevor, Firmin, Christy, Angel, Steven, and whoever else that is watching, Casey King, make sure you guys get your phones ready because you guys might have to call the cops and get me drug tested immediately. But I am going to go with the Denver Broncos to win this because I don't trust Jarrett Stidham. And I know the quarterback matchup is terrible. Brett Ripien against Jarrett Stidham. But Brett Ripien, hey, he looked pretty good against the Jets last week. I know he threw those 2 interceptions late in the game. Those were bad. But besides those, if you take those out, he was actually looking pretty solid in that game. This is a matchup of 2 of the best defensive tacticians in the NFL. I expect it to be a very low-scoring game. I'm honestly going to go on the record and predict that Denver's going to win this game. I don't think there's going to be a touchdown scored in this one. I'm going to go 12-6 Denver.
Okay, Firmin, can you help us out here? We got 1 vote for Denver, 1 vote for New England. Kind of save the panel here with this game between Denver and New England. What do you got for us, buddy?
I just hope Cam Newton plays on Monday and he's healthy enough to come back out because I don't want to see another boring Monday night, Thursday night football game because it doesn't matter who's the quarter. It doesn't matter who Bill Belichick is. I know he's a really good head coach, but with your quarterbacks right now, without Cam Newton, you have the worst quarterbacks in the NFL. You need Nick Mullins or something. So this is going to be a slugfest if Cam Newton's not playing, but I still got to give it to the Patriots on this one. They're probably going to win it 10-9 if Brian Hoyer doesn't throw a single pick in this game. And I don't know who's starting. I guess Stidham is going to be the starter since Brian Hoyer had a terrible game. But if you're going to rely on these 2 quarterbacks to help you win your game, you're in deep trouble, especially if you're the New England Patriots. You guys need better quarterbacks. So ask us for Nick Mullins since he's a 3rd stringer now.
I'm going with New England at home as well. Honestly, I'm going to go with New England at home, and of course, it's going to be a battle. It probably boils down to the kicker, honestly, in this game. And by the way, some good news, fellas, from Stephen Wayne. Good news for Firmin. Newton remains on track to play on Monday, per Stephen and per reports gathered from NFL sources. Final game, Trevor, Chargers and Saints on Monday Night Football, either from New Orleans or from Indianapolis. Trevor, who you got and why?
I can't hear you, Callan. I got the breeze coming in, so I'm going to go with Drew Brees and the Saints.
Wow.
Going with the Saints in this game.
Okay, with the fan included, Isaiah, 1 vote for New Orleans to knock off the Chargers. How about you?
I know I just went to San Diego, and I know all of San Diego hates the Chargers. I know my co-host here, Callan, hates the Chargers. I know probably majority of our viewers right now that are watching hates the Chargers. But I'm going with the upset. Give me the Los Angeles Chargers to upset. Give me the Chargers to upset the New Orleans Saints. Justin Herbert, when he has started, he's looked good, and he is due for that win. So give me the Chargers, man. The Saints, they like their offense. We know how high powered they are, but they just haven't looked good this year. Their defense has been up and down. Give me the Chargers and Justin Herbert getting his first win against the guy that in Drew Brees, who was the starter for the San Diego Chargers back in the day.
Guess we lost Callan, guys.
I think you're gonna have to run the show now, man.
All right. Since Callan has
Firmin, 1 vote for the Saints and 1 vote for Baspanos organization. How about you?
I've got Not the San Diego Chargers, not the New Orleans Saints, but the Los Angeles Chargers winning that game on Monday night.
Oh my gosh.
You know, Isaiah's right. Justin Herbert is due for that win. Every game he's played so far this season, he's looked great. If you're going to play against the Saints defense, they are terrible at defense. And Drew Brees, he is looking like an old quarterback like Tom Brady already by this season. And trust me, I have him on my fantasy team, and he is making my fantasy team suffer right now. So this is definitely 100% San Diego Chargers going all the way, or sorry, Los Angeles Chargers. It's going all the way in their favor against the Saints on Monday.
He's not a closer, Herbert. He's not a closer.
If you fellas would know the tortured history of the former football team here in my hometown, you know very well that this team cannot hold fourth quarter leads. Give me New Orleans. They're the home team and everything else going on. Yes, Herbert is due to win a game eventually, but not when you keep coughing up leads and coughing up games like the Chargers have been known to do over the past several years. Give me the Saints. Absolute rubbish from you fellas to picking the Chargers to beat the Saints. Terrible. I mean, honestly, I would love to be wrong, but I just don't see a young quarterback who has had trouble closing out games for the Chargers beating New Orleans coming up on Sunday. Some comments, and in fact, roll along here real quick. Let's see what we got here. Angel's going to go with the Chargers to beat the Saints. Christy says can't bet against Breeze and the Saints. And also, Steven says, cue the dejected Steven gif. Also, James says, I know there's a bunch of injuries, but there seems to be a lot of awful matchups this week. I definitely agree for sure. Definitely.
I second that too.
Steven also agrees. Isaiah will never stop with his outlandish takes. James says, never call the Chargers LA, please. And also, Christy, thank you for saving my soul. Please stop torturing Callan, your main host of this program. And also, Angel says, always wanted to be in the same city with the Chargers, but I said San Diego, not Los Angeles. And Steven is going to sing San Diego Super Chokers. San Diego Chokers Choke. That's probably what's going to happen come Sunday as I get myself hopefully back to somewhat of full strength here. As you know, folks, move on into tonight's Power 5.
Персональный спутник.
If there's one good thing about me being on the MI6 Sports Network, it's revamping all of the old, outdated intros and GIFs and other video elements of that sorts. But with that, of course, folks, that new one, courtesy of yours truly for our Power 5 intro. With that, Trevor, tonight, man, a very good category as Isaiah, myself, and our buddy Martin Garcia tried to make something stick on the wall for like about 50 minutes. It felt like maybe an hour last night just trying to find Power 5 ideas. But Trevor, we picked a good one, though. Power 5 music genres is on the menu tonight. Trevor, we will start with you for your Power 5 musical genres. What do you got for us?
All right. As you can see, my music periodic table. So I cheated on this Power 5 for sure. But I ended up, it took me a while to figure it out. But I'm going to go with, for my fifth spot, I'm going to go with EDM music since it's in a broad range of a lot of music genres and housed in it. But it still encompasses a general idea of electronic music. So that's why I ended up making it my number 5th spot. So you have your dubstep, house, trance, and all those other subgenres wrapped underneath it. So that's why I'm going to put that in the 5th spot since there's just so much in that genre as a whole. My number 4 is going to have to go with Latin music / salsa music. It's that Latin rhythm. You can always dance, and it's always fantastic to cook to. So you can't go wrong with Latin music or salsa music. Number 3, I'm going to have to go with an oldie but a goodie. We're going to get some doo-wop music because you just can't go wrong with some 1950s doo-wop. And if you're in like a workspace or doing some engineering work, it takes you back to Fallout or anything during like, the nuclear age and just experience that with that Nuketown. So you can't go wrong with doo-wop. Number 2, I'm going to have to go with the big band during the 1930s. Got to get that jazz, got the trombone and the nice bass. And you just can't go wrong with big band. It has that jump and jive. It's always exciting. and you have some great genre, I guess, great artists during that time frame. So you gotta listen to big band when you get a chance. But you can't tout the granddaddy of them all. It's classic rock. You have so many memories with your dad driving in the car, singing every song on the radio on the classic rock station. You'd be like, "Yep, I graduated in 1977. This is when the song came out when I was a freshman." And you have all those stories behind those songs. That's why I put classic rock #1 on this list.
Trevor, I would agree about big band for you, buddy, because as everyone knows, I'm a very huge Disneyland goer, pass holder, fanatic. And if you go on Indiana Jones, the ride at in Anaheim here in Southern California, one of the main songs, Trev, they play is from, I believe, a guy named Kai Castor and his band. I Got Spurs, That Jingle Jangle. That's played on like the audio loop outside, big band, the 30s, in that time frame. So definitely, Trev, very good Power 5 for that. One quick Power 5 comes in from James. His Power 5 is, in no order, New Jack Swing, Gangsta Rap, R&B, Alt Rock, and Motown. Gotta love Motown. And also, Steven says EDM equals extreme death music. It was a true story. It was funny. When I first started working in the American Hockey League here in San Diego, the Bakersfield Condors are the affiliate of the Edmonton Oilers, and Edmonton's abbreviation is EDM. So I would always put San Diego, parentheses ANA for Anaheim, versus Bakersfield, parentheses EDM. And I had the Carolina Hurricanes PA announcer, Wade Minter, reply back to me on Twitter saying, "So Bakersfield likes EDM music? Question mark." So I thought it was a very, very funny one. And also Angel has his Power 5. And his Power 5 is New Wave, 90s hip hop, classic rock, rock in Espanol, and alt at #1. So good couple lists there. Isaiah, how about you for your Power 5 music genres? What do you got for us?
Well, I think my Power 5 will probably have you guys all ashamed of me and probably go to my house and make me listen.
As if I'm not already ashamed of you for picking the Chargers to beat the Saints, but go on.
But so my list I'll start from 5 all the way down to 1. Number 5, I'm gonna agree with Trevor. It's got to be salsa music. I just love to dance to salsa music. It's just it just really hypes me up. So that's my number 5. Number 4, I got to go with jazz music. Jazz music, I like to listen to it like late at night, when I'm flipping around the TV and you hear the saxophone. It's perfect, man. And number 3, I'm going to go with country music. Country music for me is number 3 because I just find it really soothing. A lot of the country songs are really soothing. My favorite country song is, I think it's an old song, but it was very popular back in the 50s or the 60s, I believe. And that is Keep Up on the Sunny Side. It's a really good song. Really recommend you guys to go check it out. Where am I? Number 2? Yep, number 2. Number 2 has got to be rock music. And number 1, and Callan and Trevor and Firmin will probably walk off the set after hearing this. So, Callan, you might want to go to that panoramic frame view. My number 1 is pop music. Pop music, because I don't know, I just like every morning I would wake up and just listen to it and get myself hyped up for the day. So that's what I would put as my number 1.
There's nothing wrong with pop music. I am a bit surprised about country, though, but I can, in fact, show this off 5 years ago. Working in country radio, got my broadcasting degree, so I definitely can thank country radio for that. For that. So, yeah, there's the eventually, Trevor, you'll have one of these, too, but yours will be way cooler than this because it'll say The Ohio State University on it.
That'd be nice.
That was my, where
hey, Callan?
Down. Yes, sir.
I would like to respond to something that Firmin commented. He didn't comment it on the video, but he commented on our private chat, and that is, he says he loves Ariana Grande. Yes, I do. My favorite song is Break Free. I'm sorry, man. I like her, like that song. It's a really good song.
No tears left to cry if I had to pick one for Ariana Grande. With that, Firmin, how about you, man, for your Power 5 musical genres? What do you got?
All right. At number 5, I got New Wave. It's got to be the best generation of music, I think, in all of Earth. The 80s were amazing, so I gotta stick with that. Also, it's part of your parents' playlists, so you really gotta
I
love
can agree.
everything they put out there. Number 4, I gotta go with, it's not really a genre, but more like a playlist to chill and study at night, late at night. Especially since I'm still in school, gotta have some really peaceful music to have in the background while you're reading or doing homework. And I guess jazz music fits pretty well into this category as well. It's pretty chill. I kind of like the vibe you get from it. So that would be number 4. And number 3, I have alternative music. It's got one of the best. I don't know. It just feels good. I love listening to it. During a long car ride, or maybe you have to do something at home and you're pretty busy. You got to turn on some alternative music to back it up. Number 2, I gotta go for rap or hip hop or anything in that genre category. Sometimes you have to work out. Sometimes you need to be very active, and hip hop rap gets you up, and it definitely hypes you up as well. And for my number 1 in the list, I gotta give it to rock. Just like Trevor, I think this is the best category of all time, and anything that you can think of will probably fit into the rock category, including classic rock, including the British invasion in the 60s, anything beyond that until now. A lot of types of music would fit into that category. And also your parents too, like their playlists are amazing and very underrated, and a lot of them are rock.
Yeah, I would agree, fellas. A couple more Power Fives came in for us to chew on here at this time. Christy says that country music is on her honorable mention list for her Power 5, but her Power 5 is Motown, classic rock, especially songs from the British invasion of the 60s, the 70s, pop, hip-hop, and alternative from the 90s. Shareable Steve, classical, jazz, country, R&B, and pop, which kind of blew my mind because here's Steven and Isaiah, when they launched Carpool Chats many months ago, they were jamming out to John Bon Jovi's You Give Love a Bad Name, so that's very surprising for me. Also, Christy agrees about country. It's not bad. One of her favorites is Blake Shelton. Also, Steve says his favorite song from Ariana Grande will relate to LeBron James eventually, 7 Rings. Also, James Gonzalez says, anyone here like the Sound of Music soundtrack? I love plenty of movie soundtracks, especially I'm a sucker for the Guardians of the Galaxy soundtracks, Volume 1 and Volume 2. That's why I've been referencing a lot about Isaiah and his damn pina coladas, Rupert Holmes Calling, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1. And also Angel agrees, I listen to jazz, but classic jazz made me feel like I'm back in junior high school since his English teacher kept playing KMZRT, which I believe is a locally based jazz station here in Southern California. I had to take a music class when I was in elementary school, and one of the jazz artists I enjoyed was Dave Bierbeck, who wrote the song called Take 5. With that, guys, my Power 5 is as follows. 90s rap or 90s pop in general. I think we all practically grew up with, like, the rivalry between NSYNC and the Backstreet Boys, and people that were on Nickelodeon that were like, TLC, Aaron Carter, those people. So definitely can vouch for that. I'll agree with Trevor on EDM at number 4. Shout out, by the way, to my great friend DJ Shauner Nichols, the in-game DJ for the Bucks, who, of course, had a lot of Saturday night sets on a local station in Milwaukee. I'd stay up really late at night and listen to her on the radio here in Southern California, but listen via iHeartRadio, listen to, at the time, WRNW in Milwaukee, to her late night sets from like 9 o'clock Pacific time to like 2 o'clock in the morning. Calvin Harris, Dua Lipa, you name it, definitely on the playlist. I'm going to go with metal at number 3. Not necessarily like the thrash metal, but like Soundgarden, like maybe like your grunge, Pearl Jam, Metallica, definitely at 3. I put classic rock fellows at 2 because I got to check one of my all-time favorite classic rock groups off my concert bucket list here in San Diego at the Kaboom Music Festival. That was the one and only Aerosmith. Such a great show. Steven Tyler, Joe Perry, and the guys out there still performing at a very high level. But number 1 for me, though, is alt. I am a big fan of alternative, alt rock, big, huge Live and Die Muse fan. I've seen them in concert here in San Diego, I think 4 different times on 4 different tours. Shows are great, music's great, and really, I think if you like music that probably ties into what we're going through with, protests, pandemics, global crisis, but also, some great music. Definitely check those guys out. But again, 90s pop, EDM, metal, classic rock, and alt top my list. And also, of course, for classic rock, got to throw in, of course, like I said, though, on Wild Sports Talk. But again, though, sadly, the late, great Eddie Vedder, or not Eddie Vedder. I love Eddie Vedder, believe me, but Eddie Van Halen sadly passing away at the age of 65 earlier on in the week. And also, fellas, real quick, Angel agrees. Please do not get me started on boy band with lip sync and the bad straight boys. And also Rock On for Van Halen. And also Christy agrees with me, loves the song Hysteria by Muse. I lose my shit pretty much when that song comes on live. And actually, cool story about that is that would have been my baseball walk-up music if I would have played into Major League Baseball. And also James agrees Pearl Jam is easily the best rock band ever in my eyes. Would love to see them in person. Not yet done so. With that, gents, I know we've gone well past our time here, but it's now time to finally get into tonight's final thoughts. Been a struggle bus here, folks, but sadly, we are coming to the end of the program here, Season 2, Episode 11 of No BS here on the MI6 Sports Network. Trevor, we'll dive right into it, buddy. What do you got for final thoughts for the night show?
My first question, Callan, what was your number one pick? I forget.
Number one pick for genre?
Yeah.
Alt rock.
All right, gotcha. All right, that's all I needed to know. I was curious. I know you said like a number two, but I didn't know what
specifically Muse, but more so alternative rock is number one. But we were doing genres, not artists.
Gotcha. Well, thank you for informing what your number one was, because I got lost after classic rock. And
I think we all did.
We moved on. We got comments, and then did he ever say his number one? But it was a fantastic show. We ran about 2 hours, but hey, I love coming on the show with you guys. And the night shift is going to be fantastic as I look at college football and recap all the mayhem that happened this week. And like I said at the beginning of the show, college football is about to get spicy. In the next 2 weeks, the Big Ten rolls out. So more mayhem in the top 25 rankings, and just going to get better and better until we get to December. So stay tuned and watch college football. And just make sure you see what happens in all these Power 5 conferences. And we could see a potential 2-loss team in the college football playoffs with how everything's looking right now.
That is correct, folks. The night shift will be on air in roughly 2 hours. We're going to get ourselves a pretty good chance here to take a breather, write the script, change over the graphics, change over the stuff, kind of like in a way like what Staples Center does after the Lakers and Clippers play games. We're going to have like a bit of a shutdown here and a break to, again, kind of change over shop. And Isaiah, of course, will be there to talk all the big news, man. But Isaiah, how about your final thoughts for the first part of this Saturday night doubleheader?
Yeah, Callan, my before I get into my first part, I just got to say I believe it was Angel's comment about Backstreet Boys. For some weird reason, every time I hear that song, I Want It That Way, I don't know why. It just makes me very emotional. I think it was because I heard it during the final A's game that I worked before the shutdown. So I was really emotional. I started thinking about how I was going to miss my coworkers and stuff. So I don't know why. That song just makes me really emotional. I just had to throw that out there. But my final thoughts, it was a great program. So we ran a bit long, but hey, man, I love hanging with you guys and talking sports with you guys and talking Power 5. It's just always so much fun. And, I got to say, man, never, ever, ever trust me when it comes to betting advice, ladies and gentlemen, because I betted today, and I've been betting on Mississippi State to, go on this run after the impressive performance I saw them against LSU, in which they toppled LSU. I thought that Mike Leach and his crew would just roll through the SEC, but boy, have I been wrong. They lost to Arkansas last week, only scored 14 points. And today, against Kentucky, of all the other SEC opponents, they lose 24-2. No. 24-2. What are you doing, man? You made me lose hella money today. I hear you. Like I'm just speechless right now because I lost hella money today because I thought that Mississippi State was easily gonna beat Kentucky, but and also never trust me when it comes to Miami because I said Miami's so good, this and that, and they get clobbered by Clemson. So bottom line, ladies and gentlemen, never trust me for betting advice. Never.
Wow. Oh man,
I'm done. I got no words else to say. Mississippi State made me too sad, Callan.
But you were hyping them up all the time, Isaiah. Mississippi State against LSU. You told us they were going to take care of business. What happened, my friend?
They've let me down, man. Mike Leach. I don't know. I even said Mike Leach should go to the NFL. I think I said that on one of our programs, and good God, please, an NFL team don't hire him.
Good grief. By the way, Firmin Lee in the chat box saying that KJ Costello had 4 interceptions in that game today for Mississippi State. My goodness gracious. Firmin, we'll go to you now, man. What do you got here for final thoughts for the night show?
It's been a great show. It's great having to talk with you guys about sports. I also want to, just get into a bit of college football right now. I thought that that play, George Pickens, I thought that was pretty hilarious. The way he scored that water bottle at the quarterback for I forgot who did the Georgia. Georgia played Tennessee. Yeah, the Volunteers. But that was pretty. I thought that was pretty immature for George Pickens, but still it was pretty hilarious. It made me laugh for a pretty long time. And also LSU, I can't believe they're 1-2. Like their defense was pretty good last year. So what happened to their defense, man? LSU is definitely missing Joe Burrow, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and they really need Miles Brennan and their defense to really step up. So that is my biggest shock of this week for college football.
Definitely agree, folks. And of course, final thoughts for me again, folks. This is just part 1 of our Saturday night doubleheader. Again, the night shift is going to be on air, folks, at either 10 or 10:30. Just to again, as mentioned, gives a chance to again kind of get out of the studio, kind of move around. I still need to get food anyway in the first place, and that of course came and went already. A couple of comments. Real quick, Angel agrees. I can relate to Isaiah. I'm like that when I hear Harry Styles sing Sign of the Times. Again, that was a great song written by Prince many years ago. Also, Christy's final thoughts. Great show tonight. Casey agrees. Good show, fellas. Look forward to the night shift and can't wait to talk about those college games on the show tonight. Angel says 24-2. What happened? Did Kentucky take a safety and accidentally cause a safety? Who knows what happened with that one? And Angel says it's a great appetizer for the night shift. And James says, someone's got gambling addiction issues. Ha ha ha. In regards to Isaiah, I only played $5 on DraftKings and lost it all on Thursday. So I'll try and regroup maybe in the next couple of days or so. That also, folks, brings me to a very important announcement here, folks, that we're going to be announcing eventually, but we'll do it here. I think we may have actually announced it on Thursday. But, folks, a major and awesome program alert for you folks coming up on Halloween night. Join us for the MI6 Sports Network's Halloween Spooktacular show. We're all going to be in costume talking about sports, but also celebrating at that time, hopefully, our 1,000th Anchor podcast. Listen, again, folks, we had said that on Monday again, where, of course, we had gotten by the 700 mark. But again, folks, Halloween night. So mark it down right now, 2 weeks time pretty much, or maybe 3 weeks time right now. But on October 31st, join us right here, all of us on the network in costumes, talking sports, raising hell, and of course, having a great old time. And again, celebrating what hopes to be a major milestone for the network. Trevor, what do you got for us, big fella?
We could see Captain Kirk come back.
We want it. We want Captain Kirk back, baby. But with that, folks, of course, final thoughts from me again. I can see it here, but I'm glad, though, folks. But James Gonzalez has a top fan badge, and I hope that everyone else that has been watching and commenting and sharing the programs have a badge. Looks to me as if that they do for the most part. So again, major props. And again, thanks as always to James and Angel and Casey and the rest of the gang for being able to, again, be so kind and awesome and generous to, again, take time out of their busy nights to, again, tune in and watch us. Isaiah, do you want to add something? What do you got for us?
Oh, no, I just want to say, for all you guys that are going to be tuning into our Halloween episode, please don't bring bags or, please don't bring any bags because we're not going to be giving away candy, unfortunately. There won't be any trick-or-treat available. Who knows? We might be eating candy and some Halloween treats ourselves, but just don't bring candy. Don't bring a bag, unfortunately, because, we're not going to be giving away any candy, but who knows? You might see Manny Pacquiao come on that show, courtesy of your man right here.
You might see Luke Skywalker make an appearance. Captain Kirk might make which would be great. This just popped into my head, but that would be great if we had Captain Kirk and Luke Skywalker, and here we have Patrick Stewart and Mark Hamill doing these great advertisements for Uber Eats. Trevor, we got to do this, buddy. Let's make it happen.
All right.
That will be great. But again, folks, as a reminder, again, that's coming up on October 31st for Halloween. Again, our network Halloween Spooktacular show coming your way on Halloween night. With that, though, folks, for Trevor Williams, Isaiah Leung, and Firmin Lee, Callan McClurg saying good night. But of course, folks, the night shift is coming up very shortly, as mentioned, at around 10 or 10:30 Pacific time, probably more so 10:30. So again, let me get a chance to at least get some food and again change over everything and set up our next stream and our script. So it'll be, again, folks, coming your way. Maybe not a full hour-long program, but at least plenty of time, though, to talk about college football on this Saturday. But again, folks, for Trev, for Firmin, for Isaiah, again, Callan McClurg signing off. Folks, have a great rest of your night. Take care, stay safe, and stay healthy. And so long. Till next time. Bye-bye.
Yeah. 3-6, Mafia.
Yeah. Whoa. Hey. Yeah. Whoa.
Say what?
Hey. Whoa.
3-6, Mafia.
Hey. Whoa.
It's going down.
Whoa.
Y'all know what time it is. We ain't playing with you. In the club, in the street.